the Strait of Hormuz, despite the US president renewing his threat to unleash hell on the country. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps says the vital shipping route will never return to its former state, especially for America and Israel. Donald Trump's extended the deadline for opening the strait to tomorrow in an expletive post on Truth Social. Here's military analyst Sean Bell.
I think our political leadership, you always want a degree of gravitas, a good of respect, a dignified approach and consistent, so that you can allow the military action to try to deliver your political objectives. And I think this looks increasingly erratic.
A previously announced rise to the state pensions taken effect. Payments will rise by 4.8% or around £11 a week. The union group, the TUC, says more than 1 million workers will get access to statutory sick pay for the first time. New employment rights have taken effect in England, Wales and Scotland, meaning it can be claimed from day one of becoming unwell instead of day 4. Day 1 paternity leave's now in law too. Here's General Secretary Paul Novak speaking last month.
Most employers in this country try and do the right thing by their staff. Anyway, they wouldn't dream of subjecting them to fire and rehire. They wouldn't dream of not paying them sick pay from day one. So why not support the good employers and level the playing field?
Diageo's joined Pepsi in withdrawing sponsorship of Wireless Festival after Kanye West was announced as the headline act. The rapper, who's been condemned for anti-Semitism, is to perform at the festival in London's Finsbury Park in July. 1 in 10 consumers say buying second-hand is now their first choice when it comes to items other than food. A third of us have also sold items on a reselling site in this year. And Leeds' 39-year wait for an FA Cup semi-finals over after getting past West Ham 4-2 on penalties. The West Yorkshire club will face Chelsea at Wembley, with Southampton looking for another upset against Manchester City to reach the decider. That's the latest. I'm Jenny Barsby.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk. This is the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show, speaking truth to the people.
Well, a very good morning to you. Just gone 6 o'clock. It is Bank Holiday Monday. And can I just say welcome to Talk, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock Brit. And we've just had, for the 6 months I've been doing this, the most shocking thing happen. I was just sitting outside talking to Charlie Rowley, as one does. Christian, very calmly, because he's cooler than a bag of ice, said, thinking of doing the show today? And I went, it's only 10 to 6. He went, no, it's 2 minutes past. So that watch... pile of rubbish. That's gone. How much did that cost? Right, 10 minutes slow. A very good morning. I hope you've had a great Easter. Yes, we're here on a Bank Holiday Monday because there's so much to do. Just to say, as ever, if you want to be part of the debate, you'll need to change that screen. It's still not working. 0344 499 1000. Tommy's in the building. TT Tommy. 0344 499 1000 for your phone calls, for your WhatsApp messages. I don't care. It's a bank holiday. Get to it. You can also text the show 87222. Start your message with the word talk. I thought to myself, Bank Holiday Monday, crew are great, but who's going to get me through this? Who's going to provide the political nous and the personal drama? None other, ladies and gentlemen, Alarm Clock Britain. We welcome Charlie Rowley. Hello.
Good morning.
Did you bring me an egg?
Happy Easters. I haven't actually. No, I'm so sorry.
We got the time wrong. We were outside. Did you know?
That was all my fault. Well, no, but we were so engrossed in conversation.
We were.
And I was looking at the clock thinking, oh, maybe there's a slight delay. I don't know, but I thought I was just keeping...
I feel all out of kilter now. I've got wires going the wrong way. It's a minute. Anyway, welcome along. Lots of things. And, of course, the old thing. I thought to myself today, driving in, it'll be very quiet. It was busier on a bank holiday because Alarm Clock Brits work bank holidays, don't they?
Yep.
Is it still... Yeah, who is up? Are you up? If you're up, let us know why you're up. Where are you up? Please don't start. Honest to God. Are you up? Why are you up? How long have you been up? How long do you think you'll be up for? And listen, you know exactly what I'm saying. I mean, how many people... There are millions of people out there, aren't there?
Yeah, the roads were actually a little bit busier this morning. You're absolutely right. But that's, you know, that is Alarm Clock Britain. As you say, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is or holiday season or school holidays, whatever. People are still going to work. They're doing hard days graft and paying their taxes.
And if you are an Alarm Clock Brit on a bank holiday Monday, you're waking up to the news that, and I'm really sorry about this, isn't great. This is not a great start. Alarm Clock Brits will fund the 3.5 billion even benefits payday from today, as the two-child cap is lifting, giving jobless families on benefits a £6,000 boost. So if you are at work this morning, if you're thinking, it's Easter Monday, I could have been at the kids, but you know what, I need the shift of being paid time and a half. Are we on double money this morning? Probably not. The thing is, we, Alarm Clock Brits, are going to have rises in council tax. Your water bill's going to go up, your mobile phone bill's going to go up, your car tax, your TV licence. But if you are on benefits, you're going to get £6,000 more a year. Think on that. More detail coming up. 0344 499 1000. Those odious junior doctors led by that left-wing BMA, they go on strike from tomorrow. And they worked it out quite well because, of course, they've had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday today off. Then they're going to have a strike this week and next weekend, so that's 10 days. They were offered 7.1% by this government on the back of nearly 28% a year ago. I think it's time. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I would make it illegal for junior doctors, like the army and like the police, to strike. I think it is an absolute, for you guys now at this moment, about to go to work, junior doctors have been offered in the equivalent in 14 months of 35%. A third of an increase on what you earn. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Ed Miliband, hurrah, hurrah! His net zero policies have failed to reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and we hear of a Labour backbench revolt. I was reading about this over the weekend. Even them there on the backbenches are going, this isn't working anymore. Net zero is complete and utter madness. We'll touch upon Donald Trump. Lost the plot, I think, is perhaps the best way. An expletive-laden social media post threatening to bomb Iran's power plants if they don't make a deal. There was the daring. Did you hear about the daring way they got that pilot who had to eject from his aircraft out? We'll talk about that. But, my friends, on a bank holiday Monday, I'm going to give you an insight into what Great Britain is like. Maybe you're at work thinking, why am I working? Maybe everything's wrong. There's no police. We haven't got an army. Crime's through the roof. We've got no money. A long-serving Waitrose employee, we can report this morning exclusively, by the name of Walker Smith, he had Crisp's name, that's true, he's 54, has been sacked, right, after stopping a suspected shoplifter from stealing a bag of luxury Easter eggs. This was at the Clapham Junction Waitrose, where he confronted the thief, leading to a brief struggle. And this, my friends, is what the Waitrose spokesperson said. As a responsible employer, we never want to be in a position where we are notifying families of a tragedy because someone tried to stop a theft. So that's it. If you work for Waitrose, just somebody comes in front of you and decides to nick everything, don't give a damn. Just let them nick it. What message are we sending out? A very good morning, Charlie Rosie.
Good morning.
How bad's that story, though? Seriously.
Yeah, terrible. Most people would think that actually, if you're in a position to is literally just plying their bag, rucksack, whatever it is, with booze, or in this case, Easter eggs, you should confront them.
Well, some morality here, right?
Totally, without putting yourself in harm's way, obviously. And if you think that actually you can say to someone, just by challenging them verbally, if not physically, to restrain someone, if you're able to do that. I mean, I have absolutely no issue with someone who is, a bit of a muscle Mary, maybe, who is, 6 foot
Did
whatever.
you say Mary there because you wanted us to not think that you were thinking of muscle-bound men?
Yeah, well, yes. But, if you're able to confront maybe, I don't know, a little teenager that's literally, going into a store with absolutely no thought or fear of any kind of, reprimand to go and steal whatever it is that they like, you should be able to say...
I don't understand. Sorry, I know it's Bank Holiday Monday and it'd be very nice and calm today. Not. We are now saying, as a society, You know what? If somebody's going to nick something, that's okay. Utterly unbelievable. 10 past 6. Loads of you already telling me where you're at. 0344 499 1000. Jesus says, Steve, in Yorkshire, I'm up working, picking up golf balls at my work in Sussex. Cold but sun rising. Hopefully a good bank holiday weekend. Picking up golf balls. There'll be ones my son's probably here. Jez, I watch your show. Keep up the great work. I am up, says Sarah Bird. Good morning. Happy Easter. This is good, man. Jane here from Bodfari in North Wales. Do you know Bodfari? I've never heard of it. Just off for an 11-hour shift for the Welsh ambulance service. Can I just do this? Because I did a show once. People, paramedics, get abused. They get treated like dog. Honestly, I have such respect for the jobs that... they go try and... On a Friday night, they go and try and save somebody's lives and people spit at them and hit them and abuse them. Good girl. Alex Loveland, I've been up since 2:30 because of pain, but private operation coming soon, so hopefully can be an alarm clock Brit again soon. Hope you're well, Alex. Adam in Wigan, up and at work, starting a 12-hour shift to pay my taxes. Don't worry, I'm doing it for all those who aren't. Yeah, and another Alex from Cardiff. Hope you had a good Easter, Jeremy. Looking forward to a packed show. It is a packed show. Let's start with the news. Charlie Rowley, as seriously and as calmly as we can, that alarm clock Brits will today begin funding a £3.5 billion benefits payday as the two-child cap is lifted. Jobless families on benefits, £6,000 boost, whilst all the people listening to this going to work will have, as I said, increases in council tax, in their energy bills, in water bills, mobile phone, everything. How unfair is that?
100% unfair. You're absolutely right. And this is on top of the increase in national insurance contributions, the increase in business rates, the increase in the minimum wage. Not a bad thing on its own, but coupled with all those other increases that businesses have to fund, you're now going to see even more people unemployed. You're going to see more people, business owners that actually are the generators of growth in the economy.
Of course they are.
They are the people that employ people. It's not government that creates jobs, it's businesses that create those jobs. And the idea that they're being hit as well, they're not going to employ people, they're not going to recruit. And so you're going to see even more people perhaps claiming benefits, and that is, completely unsustainable.
This is on page 4 of the Mail, and I'm going to give you, I know it's early in the morning, this is even more shocking, Christian. Plans for an online self-service benefit system are set to cause an explosion in welfare claims. The digital self-serve system aims to get more people applying for personal independence payments rather than going for an appointment. So as with COVID, where you didn't have to go to the dole office and prove you were looking for work, now you can just stay at home, not go anywhere, and just fill out a form online and get even more money. What message are you sending to the people working? You're just not sending any sort of message at all, are you? And I just frightening.
And there's no strategy. I mean, but you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be some, whiz-kid political expert sitting in, whether it's the Department of Work and Pensions or Number 10 or the Cabinet Office, whoever, to say, right, hold on, we've got a bit of a problem here. Because at the moment in time, because I was having this conversation yesterday, it's about £30,000, if you're and you've got 2 kids,
to do nothing,
to do absolutely nothing.
So what message? Why would those people take a £28,000 job? That's my argument. It's been for years. I'm quite happy to help everybody who can't help themselves, but you set it at a level that is giving people the choice to just pick that. It was never a selection.
Yeah, exactly. And but what does it say to a country? What about its ambition, about its progress, about its future? If all you're saying to people is that you can earn more money on benefits, sitting at home doing diddly squat versus people who are where people should be working, people should be striving, people should be looking for opportunities and investment and growth, but not an ambition and wanting to achieve and wanting to
get
progress
up and go.
get on in life.
We're having a right old rant this morning, you and me, but it's true, isn't it? Where are you on the 2-child benefit cap? So I'm quite outspoken about this, and that's not just, a lot of people don't think it's fair. Have as many kids as you want before somebody throws that at me, but pay for them. If you've got to a point where, and in my other life, people have said to me, well, if I have another one, I'll get a flat, or I'll get this, or I'll get that. It can't be that the state... I listen to those Labour politicians and they say, we don't want children in poverty. Well, stop bloody well having them if you can't afford to pay for them then. I'm not going to... Why should we pay for the feckless to just keep creating?
I sympathise with that argument, and a lot of people will.
You don't agree with it, though?
But look, the Tories brought it in about 10 years ago. I think it's about 2000, or longer than that, actually. And I think it was there for a purpose because of austerity, and we didn't have the money, and so you had to make savings, and you had to cut things that we couldn't afford as a country. But now, a decade or so on, I do think there has to be a bit of a redress. I don't think you should just be able to get benefit for just having kids. Obviously
I'm all
not.
for people
but
working,
I think people working,
of course.
Exactly, and I think that's the balance.
But,
if you're
you won't have nobody will have that debate, because what will happen is they'll go, "You're trying to destroy."
Yeah.
No, what we're saying is, if you're unemployed and you've got 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, that's ridiculous.
But I also think whatever benefit you get by having more, if you have more kids and you have, obviously with the 2-child benefit cap lifted, the benefit that you get from having those kids should be on the kids. Absolutely. Because otherwise you will see people just pocketing that cash and going on whatever. But
don't give me that they should get vouchers. I did the Jeremy Kyle show for too long. They just trade them for crack. And you think I'm joking. I'm going to tell you a line that somebody once gave me, and even Christian, he's nodding his head, this is true. I remember years ago saying to this person who'd, I think, was on number 5, never worked, why? And do you know what he said to me? He said to me something that actually frightened me at the time about society. He said, the only thing in my life that's fun and free is sex. Think about that. Think about a lack of ambition, a lack of anything, a lack of drive. More for supporting people, Charlie, who can't support themselves. But like this benefits payday today, we're simply saying we're going to make it better for you if you don't do jack. We're going to make it better for you if you keep having kids. What about the rest of us that are grafting? We didn't have to get up this morning, you and I, but we did, right?
And I don't disagree with any of that, but maybe I'm being too naive and maybe I'm being too soft, but I just...
It's been said before.
Don't just worry about that child that then comes into the world. And you can't punish the child. And so, OK, obviously you've got to be direct with the parents to make sure that money's going on the child. But I don't want that child to grow up in a...
but you've alighted on something that I actually know a lot about, right, which I rarely do. But what happens is you've then got a cycle. So that child, yes, 1 or 2 will break free and make a success. But the majority... I'm afraid to say this, and people might not like it, will be exactly like mummy and daddy and won't work, and the bloody cycle will continue and continue and continue. And there's your danger, in my humble opinion. Loads of people. Morning, Jez. Morning, gorgeous Charlie. Lizzie in East Kilbride. I'm up at this time on Bank Holiday Monday, 65 years old and getting ready for my shift in a care home. Your show sets me up for the day. Liz, you're a legend. I hope it goes well, my darling. You see, working hard, working hard. Morning, Jez. I'm up. Been up for a while. Shall remain up for the rest of the day. Walking the pooches and the Whittle countryside, says Kate. It's all right, isn't it?
Very nice.
Emma Nunn, I hope you are. Good morning, Jeremy and the gorgeous Charlie. I've been up since 5. I've been doing my shift since Saturday, so I've worked over Easter. Finish my shift tomorrow. Working hard for those who cannot be. Yes. Nathan in Perth. Where's Perth?
Scotland.
Brilliant. Morning, Jez.
Or New South Wales if you're in Australia.
Jezza and Chezza. Nice little moment. I'm up and ready for work for the care sector. Let's be honest, removing the 2-child benefit cap will only help breeding lazy families. Sort of with you. By the way, and I'm not just doing it because bank holiday, because I saw it with the old man. Care workers. Oh, my God. You want to go and have a look in the mirror, all of us who moan about stuff. Oh, my God. Jackie in Wales. Good morning. I'm up so I can feed the birds when it gets light enough. Great. Nick's in West Sussex. Morning, JK and Charlie. Alarm clock, Brit, Nick here and watching. My alarm rings at 4, 6 days a week. So for a bank holiday day off, I've had a lay-in until my natural alarm woke me at 4:30. Bonus. Nice change to be able to watch you on YouTube, though. Proud member of the alarm clock Brit gang, Nick from West Sussex. Morning, Nicky. Enjoy your day. Tyrone. Morning, all. Happy Easter. When are those on benefits going to start showing their appreciation? Can they show their appreciation by doing a few free days' work down at the council? Maybe they could answer phones, clean offices, sweep the yard, walk behind the bin lorries and do the job of a bin man, or even scrape gum off the pavement. This will allow them a path back to work, teach them responsibility, be part of the team, etc., etc. I understand those with disabilities might not be able to, but surely there is something that a lot more people can do. Yeah. We'd agree with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. Look, there are so many jobs that people can do, but we focus on what people can't do, and therefore they get signed off, or then they're able to claim benefits. And we've lost this mentality of being can-do, this can-do attitude. Yep. What can you do? What needs to be done? There's a job there. Right, go and do it. But we seem to be
No, you stay at home and relax. Yep. Just take it easy. Morning to Linda. Morning, you handsome men.
Well.
I think Linda's been busy. Just what I need on a bank holiday. Have a great show. Linda and Deal, thank you. Lisa and Bolton, they're all over the UK alarm clock. Brits. Morning, Jez, up at 4:50 to go to work, preparing myself for another day of depressing, infuriating, blood-boiling news. Labour make me physically sick. How much more can this country take from these traitors? And also, very quickly, that story about the Waitrose security guard. Was he a security guard? No, he was just an employee sacked for daring to question a shoplifter who was nicking luxury eggs. He's been sacked. His name's Walker Smith, 54, Clapham Junction. As a responsible employer, says Waitrose, we never want to be in a position where we are notifying families of a tragedy because someone tried to stop a theft. Why have security guards, says Richard, in shops if they're not allowed to do their job? Why don't you just give them a tourist guide? Couldn't agree more. Pete, good morning.
Jeremy and Charlie, hope you didn't eat all those Easter eggs. Well, this Waitrose episode, you know, we need to have security guards on these doors that are even allowed to use pepper spray or something that they can take down or stop one of these thieves without getting prosecuted themselves. But I'm telling you what, it's going to give us all an idea, isn't it? Why don't we all just drive into a petrol garage, fill the car up with petrol, and then drive off? Oh, well, not really. I'm not going to condone that. But you know what? It wouldn't be a bad idea, would it? Because I reckon the fine is probably going to be cheaper than the tank of petrol these days, isn't it? Have a nice day, both of you.
The voice of Great Britain, the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show on Talk. Mirror, signal, drive, talk, travel trouble.
In Essex, anti-clockwise M25, there's a lane closed due to a breakdown. It's between junction 27 at the M11 and 26 at Waltham Abbey. Barking in London, Ripple Road, the A123 is blocked eastbound due to accident investigation work just around Stag Island. And in Tyne Wear, the northbound A1M, the slip road's currently closed at junction 64 at the Western Highway. That's due to emergency barrier repairs. No trains in and out of London Euston due to engineering works. I'm Gary King.
Talk politics. Talk headlines. Talk money. Talk culture. Talk tech. Across the UK. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. 6:23, like you give a damn. Bank holiday Monday. This is JKM Breakfast and Talk, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock Brit. They're working. Charlie Rowley is here. Good morning, dear.
Good morning.
Yes, lovely. Morning, Jez. So please tell Charlie Perth is in Western Australia, not New South Wales, says Gary in York.
I stand corrected.
You do?
Thank you.
You stand what?
Corrected.
Oh, I thought you said something else. Hello, Jez. I'm so sorry. Jez and Charlie, great show. Martin from Somerset. Why am I doing that? Because that's where my mum and dad was from. Can I just say, by the way, thank you to Martin, bless him, delivering food. What a job. the guy that did the travel just then, I must say, I'm very honest. I came to work this morning. I had a bit of a weekend. We took the kids to my best mate Graham in Newcastle, and I had a few sherbets. I'm not going to lie.
Well deserved as well.
Thank you very much. I did a few glasses of the old Pinot Grigio. I'm joking. And I thought I felt and sounded a bit gruff this morning, but Gary's taken the biscuit. Oh, traffic and travel is for bank holiday Monday. No problem with the roads. Do you know what I mean? Jesus. Morning, Jez, and the beautiful Sir Charlie Damon in Wigan. What is going on? It's just, it's like...
It's only a matter of time.
What is? It's like LinkedIn. It's like LinkedIn for failures. On Saturday, I was still waiting to put my food on the till when a guy walked past with 2 baskets full of food, walked straight out the store. Whilst I stood there about to pay $115 for my shopping, I'm thinking, who's the fool? It made me really mad. I completely agree. This is on the back of that story that a long-serving Waitrose employee has been sacked for daring to say to a bloke who's just nabbing a whole thing of Easter eggs yesterday in Clapham, if you do that, you can put yourself in harm's way. You made a really good point about Clapham there in the break, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is where we saw basically those riots of young people raiding outside. I think it was M&S there too, which prompted M&S actually to come out and say, look, we need more support for our shop staff, our shopkeepers, anybody that works in retail, because they see it on a day-to-day basis. And it's not exaggerating. It's like literally every day shopkeepers will see people coming in, stealing, plying their bags and just walking out brazenly. They're not even doing it subtly. It is taking the absolute, biscuit.
They might be taking more than biscuits. Well, they might be taking tins of soup.
But the serious point about it, and what really actually riled me up, was because I used to live in Clapham, so I know that high street very well. Clam. Yeah. And when you had the riots over the summer, the Prime Minister stood at the podium at Number 10 and said, he'll deal with them. It was a far-right thuggery. Basically, the courts will work at super quick time to get you through get you through the courts and bang you up if you needed to. We're seeing this now in Clapham High Street. Where on earth is the mayor? Where on earth is government to say that is completely wrong, to get a hand off this kind of looting that could take place across the country?
Point. Quite right.
We'll do exactly the same. Nowhere to be seen. Absolutely nowhere to be seen. It's lawless London.
He's losing it. 0344 411 You mentioned Keir Starmer there. Now, there's a poll. This is really interesting. Very interesting. Page 4 of the Daily Mail. Kemi Badenoch, who I have mentioned and said repeatedly I think is the right leader at the wrong time, has become the most popular party political leader as the public warms to her straight-talking. A new poll. The Conservative leader has seen a significant boost to her popularity in recent months, surpassing Reform UK leader Nigel Farage. There was also a poll out at the weekend, I don't know if you know this, from Lord Ashcroft. He's a Tory donor, I'm not just saying that, but all 3 main parties now, Reform 21%, Conservatives 21% and the Greens 21%. Thoughts? Because Kemi is straightforward. I think probably, my opinion would be that the Tories are not going to be forgiven in 3 short years, but I could be wrong. What are your thoughts?
Well, just on the second poll that said, you're right, that the Tories, Reform and the Greens were sort of neck and neck and neck. The only poll that matters is the one on polling day. So, we haven't got long to find out at the local elections where people are actually feeling and what they're thinking.
Do you think the Reform bubble is beginning to burst?
I don't. And I think it'll only be on display when we see those elections on the 7th of May. I think people will use that as a referendum on this government currently under Keir Starmer. I think people will want to see, having had their local elections cancelled, don't get me wrong. Don't forget, they will want to.
If I was Reform, I'd be telling 5 million people the only reason you're getting to vote is because we took you to court. The Tories didn't take you to court. Talking of Keir Starmer, a new low. I don't know if you know that Sky One have launched the British equivalent of Saturday Night Live. It's okay. Watch it, see what you think. Brilliant sketch, though, on Saturday about Starmer. If you can watch this on YouTube, do. If not, just listen to the impression. Ladies and gentlemen, with the Saturday Night Live impression of the British Prime Minister. Go.
Happy Easter. And in the strongest possible terms. Hello. Now, I know some of you were disappointed by my speech on Wednesday, while others of you did not watch it. For those who missed it, here's a summary. You didn't miss much. And honestly, I'm kicking myself. I let you down. But everyone deserves a second chance. Peter Mandelson's had 4 or 5, with many more to come.
It's a brilliant impression, isn't it? Interesting, what do you make of it? Do you believe that the reform bubble has burst? Is Kemi Badenoch heading to 10 Downing Street, or is that the first of 247 polls and you don't agree? Charlie's dead right. May the 7th is the moment. If you are waking up on a bank holiday Monday, you're very welcome to the Jeremy Carr Breakfast Show on Talk. You're waking up to the news that if you do work for a living, if you're part of Alarm Clock Brits, even if you're having a day off today, basically from today, people who don't work are going to be given £6,000 a year more. And all the bills that you've got that are going up, you know, council tax, energy, anything, road tax, everything, that's for you to deal with because they are releasing £3.5 billion benefits payday. They're lifting the 2-child cap, which means you can procreate as much as you want. Here's a figure for you. 6:30 on a bank holiday Monday. Income tax, the money we get from people as a country, despite the fact that this government's scared off millionaires who provide more money. 331 billion. It's a lot of money, isn't it? Welfare spending, any idea? 333 billion. If you're going to tell me that that makes any fiscal sense, it doesn't, does it?
No, exactly. And that's the point of not having somebody who, again, you don't need to be a political anorak to know that actually,
doesn't balance does it?
We need more money coming in than we need going out. In order
and
to
if you
fund
made
public
some of
service.
those people work and pay tax, then the balance of payments would be far greater.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea that, look, on the one hand, the government will say, oh, we're taking £150 off your energy bills, just taking energy bills as an example, when actually the price cap of Ofgem are going to put it up in June anyway, so your bills on the whole are going to go up. So energy bills are going up, regardless of what this government says about saving you 150 quid. You're now seeing higher unemployment. You're seeing a retraction in the economy when it comes to things like the construction sector. This is a sector that obviously we need for national infrastructure, for housing, for people to, if you can get a house, and if it's not being given to a migrant that's hopped on a small boat, where again you could be given £40,000 as a family just to leave.
Don't we sound like a couple of bitter people?
But it's about fairness, and we always say this. It is just about fairness. Hard-working people keeping more money that you earn, not going to people that are basically shirkers.
I'm only looking slightly confused. Morning, Jez and Charlie. Anarchy's arrived in the UK under this shower of a government. David, good morning, Jez and Chaz. The A-team, love the show. Keep up the great work. Have you seen the poll from Dorset? Yeah. Morning. Oh, you've taken that off. We can now see that Labour has no interest in reducing the welfare bill. This will continue until everyone is claiming benefits. I mean, that's the message you're sending.
Yep.
I mean, and that cannot be right. Well, how many times on this station do we say what is important, which is, I really do want to help people that can't help themselves, but unless we as a society go, no, sorry, you're a feckless shirker. I'm not trying to be rude. You're not mentally ill. You're not disabled. OK? The truth of the matter is you're taking the pee and we're allowing it. Marcus isn't very... Is he having a go at me? All right, OK. Morning, Marcus.
So, Easter Sunday yesterday, I'm not very happy about it. Turned the radio on. It was BBC Radio 4. This is about 6 o'clock. I had to listen to some Islam thing about some Islamic bride who'd gone to Syria. And in fairness, it was quite interesting, but I'm thinking, hang on, this is Easter Sunday. What the hell's happening? Pathetic, mate. Absolutely pathetic. Anyway, enjoy your day. Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye.
Happy bloody Easter to you too. This is from Steve. We talked about that poll. Mail today. Straight Talker Kemi now the most popular party leader, and apparently the Greens, Reform and the Tories level pegging at 21. Morning, Jez and the gorgeous Charlie. Maybe a rumour, but I'd heard that the poll that puts Reform, the Tories and Greens neck and neck was very much based in London, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, that is the sort of thing that really gets my goat. I do not understand how politicians believe that they should not be talking about the whole of this country. I'm really proud of the fact that this show has, but that's why we do it. There's people everywhere. Andy's in Liverpool. Look straight away. There is no such thing as working for benefits. If you can find enough work for people to do for benefits, then why can't you find enough work for wages? You either work, that's called a job, or you don't. That's called benefits. Quite right. But he's in Liverpool. I bet he wasn't in that survey.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And you're absolutely right. Look, but sitting here, you just got to think about what happened a decade ago, where the country voted to leave the European Union. all the polls pointed, all the surveys pointed to the fact that we were going to remain, because that was and the Westminster bubble, the metropolitan elite, SW1, couldn't see me, including me, couldn't see.
How did you? Were you for it or against it? Did you think it was going to happen?
I voted Remain, and I did so. I did so on the back of having just been part of an election winning campaign in 2015. And that was a hard slog, getting Cameron into number 10 with a majority, having come out for coalition. And I thought it was one last chance, or last chance saloon. And I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want the economy to take a tank because of what I was told. A lot of people would have gone along with that.
This is nothing to do with today's news, but I've always wanted to say it. I could never quite understand how a man who had the world at his feet, Cameron, right, threw his toys out of his pram. I'd have gone, listen, you want to vote, you have it, I'll implement it. But he'd so tied his colours to the mast that he had no option. 0344 499 1000. This is brilliant. More into Sarah Jane Davis. There are many, Jez, disabled people like myself who can work. I have a business management degree. However, it isn't cerebral palsy that stops me working, but the sick and perverse social care system. One's income is basically taxed a second time, and the more money you have in the bank, saving for a deposit on a house, for example, is taxed as the more money you save, your weekly social care contributions go up. Social care is care to get showered, dressed, help to eat. Sarah, known surname near Plymouth. I fair play to her. I always worry that whenever we have this debate, people don't see enough of the debate. They go, oh, so you're saying to everybody who's mentally ill, disabled, they should... No! I want a system that says that they can have what they deserve, but I can't. Do you know what I mean? The shirker thing doesn't do it for me. 0344 499 1000. Let's turn our attention to doctors, Charlie Rowley. God, I'd love your thoughts on this. Sun page 2. Wes Streeting. Doctors are being selfish. Why'd you give them a rise then, Wes, with nothing written in the contract that they couldn't come back? Wes Streeting. Docs union strike so selfish. We talk about how people might die as a result of this policy. All those people with cancer treatment waiting for an operation as well. Do you not think this is absolutely... Do you think something needs to be done about the BMA and junior doctors?
Oh, totally. Because, you talked about paramedics earlier on. You talked about, social care workers. These are people who, as part of the NHS or as part of our care system, have agreed for their whether they've had pay increases or not, but they are not striking. There's just one part of the NHS led by the BMA, which happens to be these junior doctors who are very, very well paid if they get higher up the ladder. Obviously, everyone's going to start somewhere. The idea that they can just take a patient's life into their own hands, the very thing that they're supposed to do on the wards, they're now walking out. And people, you don't choose when you get ill, and people in this country who alarm clock Britons that pay their taxes have a right to use the NHS if they need it. They shouldn't be left to... simply left to the hands of doctors that feel it's okay to walk out. And you're right, there is now, I think, a moving direction towards banning and striking, like our police, like our prison officers, like our armed forces, because it's critical. When people are ill in this country, they should be able to go and see a doctor, and they can't just be unable to do so on the back of a union that is just asking for more and more and more.
And the reason I'm so angry about the junior doctors, more so the government's approach, is it's a bit rich in my mind for Streeting to be jumping up and down. If you give, to somebody without there being any deal attached, like if you're going to get 28%, which I wouldn't have given anyway, right, you're certainly not going to strike again within 3 or 4 years. But I have an answer to this, and I've had it forever. All I ever hear junior doctors and the BMA say is there's no money, the facilities are rubbish, we're all going to leave. And the government's arguments for years has been, well, give them that money because otherwise we haven't got any doctors, right? Majorly one of their arguments, doctors, is, oh, it costs a lot to train and we end up with a loan. I'll pay that. I will pay that if you sign a 10-year contract that means you can't leave my National Health Service and I get value back for money from the money I've invested in training you. That's not mad. That makes perfect sense. I wouldn't allow them to go abroad. I make them stay within the NHS, and I would structure what they were getting as they develop. I don't understand how we're being held to ransom. And the other thing is, which will probably get me into trouble, they all look like none of them come from this country and they haven't had a wash. They all look about 11 to me. And you get the feeling when you look at these people, you think, are you actually committed to medicine or are you just being politically... I don't know, maybe I missed the point. Maybe I'm being unfair, but I just think we could perhaps train more people in this country to be doctors rather than having them come in. I've said that on many occasions. We seem to get it round the wrong way, you know? Yeah, absolutely. And throwing more money at the service and the system isn't the answer. And for too long, and this is, politics where, politicians have failed on all sides, certainly the last Conservative government and certainly this government, it is just pumping more money into the system. And the BMA would do, I think, a lot better. Instead of sort of prioritising, pay packets over patients, they should be able to look at the NHS and say, you know what, this is structurally wrong. The NHS needs reform. We can't keep taking more money from taxpayers to fund wages. The system needs reforming. We need to cut out all the middle management. We actually need to deliver for patients from the moment you get into the ambulance as a paramedic to the ward and you're not on beds in corridors, all the shocking scenes that we see. That is an NHS problem. That is a health management issue that absolutely needs to be desperately addressed. You're very on it today, aren't you? Well, it's Easter Monday. I'm here with you, Jeremy. What are you doing for the rest of Easter Monday? Nothing very exciting, no. I'm afraid. No, nothing. Well, I might punish you and make you stay longer. 20 to 7. We're back in 3.
The University of Common Sense. This is Talk. This is Talk.
We cannot allow this to happen again.
Well-informed conversation across the nation.
I mean, to me, I would wonder whether that actually makes sense.
This is Talk.
Right, 18 minutes to 7 o'clock. Welcome back. This is Talk Breakfast, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock Brit. Thank you so much for your response. Gary and Bolden, good morning. Don't fall for the Tories suddenly being Conservative. As soon as they're popular again, they'll govern as Liberals. Many people are angry about this poll, but we'll tell you what the truth is. 0344 499 1000. Before we talk royals, my friend. Oh, dear. Top sponsor pulls out of Kanye West festival appearance. This is in the Mail, page 5. Fears for music festival as top sponsor Pepsi pulls out after storm over Hitler fan Kanye West. A major British music festival is in disarray after triggering an anti-Semitism storm over its choice of acts. Drinks giant Pepsi dropped its sponsorship of the Wireless Festival yesterday. This is on the... Can I just say, I wouldn't give Kanye West the time of day. I don't think he should be invited. I think it's a huge mistake. But this is what I loathe about our politicians. Starmer came out on Saturday and said, I think this is a disgrace. He should be banned. I didn't hear him say that about Bob Vylan at Glastonbury festivals, you know, death to the IDF. I don't see him cancelling hate marches where people are burning Jewish flags. But it's easy, is it not, to jump up and down and say, oh, I think anti-Semitism's rife if Kanye West comes here. That's duplicitous to me. That's publicity. That's not really wanting to deal with the problem. Yeah, absolutely. You know, the Prime Minister is obviously late to the party on this one. That's a surprise. But you're absolutely right. There is absolutely no way. As you can imagine, I am fully abreast of Kanye's work. I'm not. I have no idea.
I've got no idea.
I don't give a toss.
No,
I did
I've got
some
no
weird
idea.
man. But I mean, the fact is he's made horrific anti-Semitism remarks. He's also posted stuff, and quite rightly, he shouldn't be here. In fact, who gave him that gig, right? The Wireless Festival, huge mistake. Yeah. But why isn't our Prime Minister saying the same about the hate marches where the Palestinian lot are setting fire to Israeli flags? Why is he not saying Bob Vylan was allowed to continue being streamed on the BBC? Never once did I hear him say the BBC are wrong and outrageous.
Totally. There's no justification. There's no explanation as to why the Prime Minister was so quiet. But even if you don't know about Kanye, of which I do not,
that means he knows a lot.
I know nothing about his work.
He was married to Kim Kardashian.
I could be stuck in a lift with her, and I'd have no idea who she was.
You've got no idea who Kim Kardashian is?
I would ask her to probably press the button. I'm going to ask.
Sorry, hold on a second. You'd say to Kim Kardashian, can you press my button?
Could you, if we were stuck in a lift, I would.
You'd ask her to push your button.
I wouldn't know who she was. I have absolutely no.
So you wouldn't know who Kim Kardashian is. You wouldn't know who Kanye West is. Would you know who?
I couldn't care.
If it was Barbara Streisand, if she was in there, would you know who Barbara Streisand is? Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
I might know who Barbara Streisand is, but she has been around. She has been around a lot longer, and
she's a bit of an icon. She's
in many a good musical, if you don't mind me saying. But what is Kim Kardashian famous for? Can anyone tell us?
A sex tape.
Right, well...
And creating a reality television show that's made her millions.
And I wish her all the best.
I wish her all... Well done, Kimmy. Well done. I wish you all the best.
But, you know...
Barbara Streisand.
Oh, yes.
Just
do it. She is, yeah. Did you see Hello, Dolly?
Hello, Dolly. Is Dickie ready? Is he? He is. 0344 499 1000. I love you, Charlie Ruddy. Bank holiday Monday. So many people. You're waking up to the news that 3.5 billion is now going to be given in benefits to those who don't work, meaning we're now spending more on benefits than we get from taxes from people who work. It's ludicrous. It's a Bank holiday Monday, and many of you alarm clock Brits out there working and grafting. The question is why. Junior doctors are on strike again. The government has suddenly said, oh, that's a bit selfish, asking for another 30%. We reckon they should be made illegal to strike. I don't know what you think about that. We'll talk Ed Miliband, who's facing a backbench revolt from Labour MPs who've suddenly realised that if you're skint, spending 800 billion on trying to create wind farms, which means that you don't create enough electricity and you have to buy it from somewhere else, is perhaps a sign of madness. And in fact, now perhaps we should drill and get some money. And there was that great story, by the way, the long-serving Waitrose employee, I don't know if you've woken up and heard this story, 54, sacked from the Clapham Junction branch yesterday for daring to confront somebody who was just stealing luxury eggs. And a spokesman from Waitrose said, as a responsible employer, we never want to be in a position where we are notifying families of a tragedy because someone has tried to stop a theft. So, in essence, just let people steal. That's Great Britain, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a man who knows a thing or two about the old country. What a lovely way to be joined on a Bank Holiday Monday. Dickie Arbiter, former press secretary to the Queen and former royal journalist. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, young man. How are you?
I'm good. I love that room. I've always loved the red. The old man always told me one's study or dining room should be deep red, very classy. Have you been eating lots of chocolate, Dickie Arbiter?
No, I haven't. And as far as the red is concerned, it's regal red.
It is very regal red. Why haven't you been eating chocolate then? Because you look rather svelte like it. You want to sort of...
No. I'm not eating chocolate.
No.
You look like you have been eating an Easter egg.
Wow. I don't know what I've done wrong, Arbiter. Anyway, right, listen, yesterday, as ever, the big Easter sort of walk of the royals at Sandringham, and the press got the picture they wanted as the Duke and Duchess of the Prince and Princess of Wales, I should say, were doing their thing, and the kids were looking wonderful. A scowling Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, looking a world away from royal life, walking his dogs in wasteland. I mean, where does he go for it? He can't even go for a walk now, Dickie, can he?
He can't go for a walk, and at the end of the day, look, the man is right down the bottom, and he's being harassed. I mean, to a point, this is an intrusion. I don't even see the story there. He is exiled to Sandringham. He's allowed to walk his dogs. Photographers, back off. is what I say, because how much lower can he get?
I was going to ask you about that. Is there newspapers, I'm sure, are all waiting for a picture, which of course will reverberate around the world. They're waiting for news. They're obviously there. Is there anything that his brother could do to stop that happening? Sandringham's a private. Is it private? Is it public? I don't know what the facts are there, Dickie.
It is a private estate, but there are public rights of way along it.
Right.
And if he can't fail to be seen, and that is the problem, short of actually letting the dogs out and sitting watching them from a window. The man's allowed exercise, and the man is allowed to use the Sandringham estate. That's where he's been exiled to, and I think he should be free from the paparazzi.
Is he effectively? I don't necessarily want to throw a headline at you, but I was thinking about this driving in. Would you say he's under house arrest, Dickie?
No, he's not under house arrest. He's just been exiled to the Sandringham estate. He can move around. And
is he allowed to leave Sandringham if he wants to?
He could go to the shops if he wants to. He's been cautioned by the police. The police are investigating. He's not under arrest at the moment, and he can go to the shops if he wants to go shopping.
But presumably they moved him from. But presumably they moved him from Windsor to Sandringham because him sat on a horse riding through the Great Park smiling whilst people are queuing up to get the bus to go to work is not a good look. My argument's been, and I know it's perhaps a difficult one, is putting him there in exile to your average hard-working Brit, Dickie, in exile in a 5-bedroom paid-for house with a chef and a valet is not exile. And one gets the feeling, and I know what you're saying about the newspapers, one gets the feeling, and I know it's perhaps seen as a little bit unfair and he's getting it all, not enough has been done. It's not enough as yet for the British people. Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying?
It does make sense, but until the police have finished their investigation, there's a lot more that can be done. Look, he is being investigated. Under ongoing investigation is what they're doing. They're investigating this public duty aspect of it, but also investigating the possible question of corruption and giving papers of a sensitive nature. They've got a long investigation ahead of them. And at the moment, he's stuck at the Sandringham estate. He can't go out the way and live grandly as he was in Windsor. He can't go riding horses. All he can do is use Shanks's pony, which are his 2 legs, and walk the dogs on an estate. He's got to get some exercise, but he's got to be able to get exercise without cameras popping him all the time.
You know more about the royals than most people. How is somebody in your mind who is known as, at best, arrogant, how is he handling missing out, do you think, on being part of the royal circle yesterday, the service? How do you think that sits with him?
I think he's kind of used to it now. He's got to get used to it. He's got to live with it, and it's his own fault. But he probably sees, he's probably got a television set, and he probably sees all these pretty pictures of the family and thinking, well, I was there a year ago, and now he's not. And that's the way of the world. He's got himself into this mess, and until such time that the police come up with an investigation, they having already consulted the CPS, he's got to live the life that he is being given, and that's not a very happy one.
A couple of things came out as well 2 days ago. Apparently Prince Edward became the first royal to visit him, to have a quiet word. We don't know what about, but apparently he and his wife Sophie and Edward were forced to use a holiday let at Sandringham after Andrew refused to leave the farm that he's in whilst he waits for a very confusing situation.
Yeah, that's just creating a headline. Look, Edward and Sophie knew that Andrew was being housed in Wood Farm until March Farm is ready. And it's just making a headline out of a non-story because he's been there for a month now, so it's no big deal. And the fact that Edward and Sophie are using the garden house is neither here nor there. It's within sight of the big house. They've got all the comforts they need. It's a 4-bedroom house. Sophie wasn't there at Windsor yesterday. She's a bit under the weather, probably a bit of exhaustion because she's had a pretty tough workload of late. So she's entitled to miss Windsor. But at the end of the day, Andrew is still their brother. You can't get away from that. And there is an element of sympathy within the family for the brother, but realising that he's got his just deserts.
Do you think we talked about this yesterday or the other day when I asked you whether the King was in contact. If Edward goes to visit him on the sly, can you see the King doing the same or not?
I don't think it's Edward going on the sly. It was there for people to see.
Yep.
That's how they got the story. The king, well, if he goes up to Sandringham, he probably will go and see his brother. As I make the point, it is family, and they've done wrong. But at the end of the day, you just keep contact with the family. And if the king does go to Sandringham, he probably will go and visit his brother, and it'll come out, and it'll be a big headline. And it'll probably be a headline with a sort of caption of hypocrisy, having exiled and still having contact. You don't lose contact with the family just because they've done wrong. Family go to jail. The rest of the family go and see them. It happens, and we have to maintain a certain equilibrium that, you know, the man is family, and he's entitled, if the family want to visit, to visit.
Just final question. I sense not anger but frustration on your behalf, because the very thing that you, and certainly I believe in, the royal family, is under threat, I think, like it's never been before. I'm not trying to exaggerate that. There's frustration for you that they won't now sort of leave Andrew alone. You believe enough is enough, do you, until the court case, or rather the investigation is finished?
I think enough is enough. He's been arrested in the full glare of cameras. We saw that camera, that photograph of him being returned to Wood Farm. It was a pretty shocking picture, and the man really didn't know whether he was coming or going. The police arrested him. The police wanted to question him. They did the same with Peter Mandelson. And now it's time to leave him alone. Let the police do their job. Don't keep on pumping out headlines. The British public know what he's done. The British public know where he's been exiled to, and they know what he can have and what he can't have. And what he can't have is the glitz and glamour that he had in the past.
It sounds a particularly crass question to ask you. I haven't got much time. The king made it known when he came to power that he wanted to slim down monarchy. By hook or by crook, that's happened, hasn't it?
Well, it has happened, but it's happened by default, and he didn't actually say it. It was just assumed that when he came to the throne, look, we've lost the Queen, Prince Philip, Mr. and Mrs. Sussex pushed off to California, and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's exiled in at Sandringham. So that's quite a chunk of the royal family that's disappeared. But the current clutch of royals, the 7 of them, they're doing a sterling job, and they are covering every avenue that has to be covered. Sophie, I think, is probably not at Windsor yesterday because she's got an increased workload, and she was probably under the weather because she's exhausted.
Mate, it's great to have you on. Are you going to eat any Easter eggs this afternoon, then?
No. I'm off Easter eggs.
Oh, I'm worried about you. We'll have to talk off air.
Don't worry, Jeremy. Go
and have another whiskey. You'll have a whiskey, won't you?
No, I don't even drink either. You're looking good, actually.
This is no good at all. He doesn't drink. He doesn't eat chocolate. That's why you look well and I look crap, according to you. Dickie Arpiter, thank you very much indeed. Former press secretary to the Queen, talking everything to do with the royals there. Charlie, I need you to stay. We haven't finished talking. Are you all right to stay for a bit, or have you got to go home?
Well, for you, I might stay a little bit longer.
Well, I think you should, because there was a day when you didn't turn up at all, did you? and also it's Easter Monday.
It is Easter Monday.
And I want to feed you. I want to see you eat a Cadbury's cream egg.
Start the car.
News. You start the car. I'll start the song. Anyway, news at 7 is next on Talk Breakfast. Don't go anywhere.
Bold as Brass Breakfast Radio, the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show on Talk.
Welcome to Down the Local, the show that goes from pub to pub across the country, speaking to the punters about the subjects driving us all nuts at the moment.
Rachel Reed, Rachel Thieves, Rachel McCown.
I don't really know Meghan Markle. I know Meghan Markle's the sixth.
I don't know about anyone else, and I don't know where this is going. I have 0% beers, and I thought...
Raising the flag, I think, is symptomatic of its desperation.
Is public transport good value for money?
No, it isn't.
You really don't like speaking to people.
And Junction 5 at Castle Bromwich. I'm Gary King.
Across the UK, here on DAB+, talk on your smart speaker, attitude, opinion. Across the UK, this is Talk. Talk. News. Update. On the hour. Headlines.
The US, Iran and a group of mediators are reportedly in talks over a possible 45-day ceasefire. The American website Axios says it's spoken to 4 separate sources, including Donald Trump. He says the US is in deep negotiations with Iran and a deal could be reached by tomorrow. If not, he says he will blow up everything over there. Lieutenant General Russell Honore is a former commanding general of the US First Army.
Once he goes down that road of escalation of destroying bridges and power plants in Iran, the Iranians immediately responded with specific names of bridges inside the Gulf states that they're going to blow.
Pepsi and Diageo have withdrawn their sponsorship of Wireless Festival in London after Kanye West was announced as the headline act. The rapper's been condemned for anti-Semitism and hasn't performed in the UK since he headlined Glastonbury in 2015. Marie van der Zijl, former president of the Board of British Deputies of British Jews.
This is a community that already feels under threat. And the thought of somebody who's made such comments, has described himself as a Nazi, coming on is really frightening.
The state pension goes up from today, increasing by around £11 a week, while benefits also increase. Those linked to inflation go up by 3.8%. New employment rights have taken effect in England, Wales and Scotland. It means sick pay can be claimed from day 1 instead of day 4. And the crew of Artemis 2 are preparing for a lunar flyby this evening. They'll be the farthest distance from Earth humans have ever been. Earlier, they described their first glimpse of the dark side of the moon.
The Earth is almost in full eclipse, the moon is almost in full daylight, and the only way you could get that view is to be halfway between the two entities. It is truly awe-inspiring up here.
That's the latest on Talk. There's more in an hour.
Talk. News. Update.
Have all these allegations, we have all the documentation related to those allegations, which Downing Street is being forced to put out. The first tranche of it will be early next month.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning to you. What is it? Bank Holiday Monday, and we are on Talk Breakfast, the home of common sense and the home, of course, of the alarm clock Brit. I start only with this, my friends. Where are you today? Are you working? If you are, one of the few, well, not many so far have said, but if you are up and about, wherever you are in the UK, we'd love to hear from you. What are you doing? Why are you up? How long have you been up? How long are you going to stay up? No, it doesn't sound right, but I know entirely what I mean. Charlie Rowley is here. We're here, aren't we?
We're here.
I've kept him punished him. He's not going home at 7 to a muffin and some slippers. You're going to keep going.
What's what you could have said then? But yes, I'm delighted to be here.
Get your voice notes in. Where are you? What are you doing? 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. What are you waking up to on Bank Holiday Monday? Well, if you are heading to work, or maybe you're having a well-deserved rest from your job, Alarm Clock Brits, you are absolutely going to be funding the £3.5 billion benefits payday from today. New Deal says that if you're not working, we're going to give you £6,000 more. If you are working, I'm being completely serious here, your council tax, your energy bill, your water bill, your phone bill, and possibly, well, overall, your TV licence and your car tax, I can continue, that'll all go up. Let me give you a stat we've got. In this country, Rachel Thieves, in terms of the exchequer, in terms of tax, takes £331 billion in revenue. Do you know how much we spend on welfare now? 333, which is going to rise to 400 million by the end of next year. That's a known fact. We're now at a point where it's more beneficial not to work than work, and the money that we're giving to these people, Charlie, is skinting us as a country. Ludicrous.
Absolutely. And it all comes down to that word that we keep saying whenever we meet, is fairness. It is simply not fair on people to get up in the morning, as you say, alarm clock Brits, that go do a hard day's work, they play by the rules, they do the right thing, they're law-abiding citizens, and they keep seeing every pound, every penny that gets sent to the Treasury going on things, going on people that shouldn't be having those benefits paid to them, or that shouldn't be here in the country, or shouldn't be, we should be having a system that, like our justice system, should be working, our NHS should be working. It's going on things that are broken, it's going on people that are benefit claimants.
And also it's going on junior doctors, who today, by the way, begin their strike. Well, tomorrow, I think it is it? Yes, tomorrow. So they're basically not worked since Friday. They're going to have a 5-day strike. By the time this ends, it'll be 10 days off at Easter. This is the bunch, the BMA-led bunch, who, if you remember, got 28% just 12 months ago. Wes Streeting said, I've sorted it, the Tories were wrong. I've offered them the money and everything's fine. 12 months later, because he didn't put a clause in the contract, they're back again wanting more. I don't know what you make about the British Medical Association and, more importantly, junior doctors, but I think we're getting to a point of embarrassment. I think we're getting to a point where they're not only morally responsible for... People are dying. People are missing operations. People are missing cancer treatments, right? I think it's too political. I think they should be banned from striking like the police and the army. And 0344 499 1000. I told you a story earlier about a long-serving Waitrose employee sacked over the weekend from the Clapham branch for daring to stop a man who came in and just started putting luxury Easter eggs into his thing and just walked out. He got sacked, the bloke. He'd been there a long, long time, because Waitrose said, and I quote, as a responsible employer, we never want to be in a position where we're notifying families of a tragedy because someone tried to stop a theft. So there you are. If you want to nick some Easter eggs today, go down to Waitrose or any other stop, and presumably it will be against... Well, I don't... It's beyond me and Charlie. Can I talk about Ed Miliband, because this makes me very happy. Ed Miliband's net zero policies have failed to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. That's a surprise. Meaning the UK is no less dependent on oil and gas than it was when Labour took office. And there are murmurings that even the Labour backbench are now going, this isn't such a good idea, you numpty.
And how many times do they need to be told that energy bills are going up? The price cap will be lifted by Ofgem in June. So bills are going up. We have an energy crisis in the UK. We've had bill after bill where part of that energy bill goes to green levies. That's investment the government will take from your bill, and they will invest it in, whether it's solar, whether it's nuclear, whether it's whatever they're doing. When they're not fracking, where we should be. But all of that investment is huge. And what has it garnered? Very, very little. And when we've got a crisis in this country, when we're sitting on oil and gas reserves, when we can be issuing new licences in the North Sea, which creates jobs, creates growth, which is what all this government was telling us it was going to do when it first came in at that election just 2 years ago. Growth was the key word.
Growth.
And we've not seen any of it. And now you've got a situation where you're absolutely right. Even Rachel Reeves, I think, is now wanting to grant
Rachel Thieves has woken up, ladies and gentlemen, come to the party. She's gone, I'm skint. Oh, I see. If I did that, I'd have billions of pounds. It's under the sea.
And the one man blocking it, despite her now saying it, John Swinney in Scotland is saying it, SNP, Kemi Baker Hayden saying it, Nigel Farage has been saying it, Octopus Energy, Energy UK, even the GMB union, a big Labour funding union, is saying we need to do it for workers, for jobs, for growth. The one man still stalling is Ed Miliband, and just think, if he doesn't get it, because they keep saying that he's pulling the strings, in just a matter of weeks, he could be the next leader of the Labour Party and the Prime Minister of the UK. The only man in the room that doesn't get this about energy bills, about growth, about creating those jobs, about making sure that the UK is energy efficient and sustainable. We can stand on our own 2 feet. He is the one blocker, and that could be, ladies and gentlemen, the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
You sounded like you were delivering a party political speech there. We're so great. You're absolutely great. So I'm going to get you to sum up. Our benefits payday to people on benefits outstrips alarm clock workers. One sentence. How does that make you feel?
Angry because it's an injustice. It's unfair on hard-working Brits.
Junior doctors, what would you do with them? Would you make it illegal for them to strike?
I think we're heading in that direction, yeah. I think we are. I think people do have a right to strike, and I do think because of the pressures that some of those people are under, like you talked about, those paramedics, if they really need to make a stand for something, sometimes you've got to do it. But if it's critical, if it's emergency, you're right. The police can't do it, the army can't do it, prison officers can't do it. We've got to look at paying people better, or paying people adequately. Junior doctors, I think, get paid handsomely enough as it is, so I wouldn't include them in that pay bracket. But yes, we should look at stopping them to go on strike.
You've warned us about Ed Miliband. Final thing, page 4 on the Mail today, this story. Straight Talker Kemi is now the most popular party leader, says poll, and this on the back of a poll over the weekend that said that the Tories, the Greens and Reform are all level on 21. That's down 15 points for Nigel Farage in 12 months. What do you think the truth to that is, my friend?
I don't believe it, but we'll see what happens on May the 7th, the local elections, where Reform are expected to do very well, where the Greens are expected to do very well.
The Greens. Can we have a discussion? I can't keep you anymore because I know you've got to go home and wash your smalls. Thank you so much indeed. The legendary... Are you back this week?
I'll come back on Wednesday, only if you'll have me.
I'll always have you. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Rowley, legend, 0344, get out. I'm joking. 0344 419 1000. You text to 87322, get the voice notes in, get the calls, get the text. Sharon Miller, I'm sick of this government and their backbenchers not working on behalf of the British people. Dan, morning JK, I'm really disappointed with the King, not because of being a monarch, but the head of the Church of England with the TikToks exercise of the new Archbishop. I fear wokery is going to destroy something that I really, really care about. Keith is in Oswestry in Wales. I had a hospital appointment on the 16th of April for an operation. NHS phoned me to say they didn't have staff to do the op and offered me the 7th. Next day, got another call to say they couldn't do the 7th because of industrial action. But amazingly, offered me the 16th again. 2 letters then arrived explaining it all. And we wonder why the NHS is on its backside. Dean, this is the story that rages me, by the way, about Kanye West. Yes, of course he shouldn't be at the Wireless Festival. But our Prime Minister goes, Kanye West should be out of this country. But I'm going to continue allowing hate marches and Bob Villan shouting death to the IDF. The reason the PM had a go at Kanye West is because he does not vote in this once great country, but people on the hate marches do. Couldn't agree more. Finally, for now, Mark in Selby, I think, or he could be... Anyway, morning from a windy North Yorkshire with my 2 dogs, Poppy and Schnucky. Right. Happy Easter. What a conundrum for Keir when his banning of Kanye will get calls of racism from his backbenchers. Keep on trucking. Charlie, you may go, you wonderful man. On your knees, be gone. That didn't sound right, did it? How are you going to get out without the camera? That's what you worried about.
I was waiting for the break.
We're not having a break. I'm going straight to Brendan.
Oh, right. Well, then, I can listen to
Oh, actually, good morning. We've got a voice there. What's the name, please? It's not on my screen. Danny, good morning.
Good morning, Chezza. Great show. Danny from Bedfordshire here. Just on the way to work on Easter Monday. Just thinking, where should I pay my tax money? Should I give it to the illegal immigrants, the lazy, the kids with pretend ADHD, the druggies that use my tax money to buy drugs? The list goes on. Have a great day, mate.
And that's the point about being an alarm clock Brit. It might be a bank holiday Monday, but so many people are grafting, so many people are doing the right thing, and they wake up to this headline that we, the people who are working, are funding a £3.5 billion benefits payday from today for those who aren't working. And can I please make the point repeatedly, because somebody will write in, I'm talking about those of you who should and are on benefits because you can't work and want to work, and I have great sympathy. But I don't think we can continue sustainably to say, it's a choice now, you stay at home because we'll give you 30 grand for doing nothing. Why would you want to take a job at 28? We say a very good morning to great man, chief political writer at Spiked Online, Brendan O'Neill. Happy bank holiday.
Hi, Jeremy. How you doing?
Have you been doing the Easter egg thing, or are you not into chocolate at all?
I did that yesterday. I did the whole Easter thing yesterday. Mass, Easter eggs, family day out, everything.
Good man. Why in the name of God, like me, are you bothering to get up today? Because it strikes us with this news today that alarm clock Brits are going to be funding a 3.5 billion benefits payday. We seem to get everything wrong in this country, right? To me, Brendan. We've always based ourselves on trying to do the right thing, and I think helping those who are less fortunate is great. But it's becoming a massive, massive concern. We got some figures. Do you know income tax revenues 331 billion, and as of yesterday, welfare spending's 333 billion a year, which means we're spending more on people not working than we are getting tax from people who are. That's not right. That can't be right. It's not sustainable, is it?
It's completely unsustainable. You know, I'm not good at maths, but that maths just doesn't work out for me. If we're spending more on benefits than we are getting in from working people, that is just preposterous. And you know what it means for all your listeners, Jeremy, and what it means for you and what it means for me is that every day we go to work, not only are we working for ourselves and our families, we're working for other people as well. We are working to look after other people who we don't know from Adam. Some of them might just be lazing around the house. They can't be bothered to get a job. Others, as your previous guest said, might pretend to have certain ailments and say, oh, I've got ADHD, I can't get to work today. And some are illegal immigrants who shouldn't be in this country in the first place, and we don't seem to have the gumption or the wherewithal to throw them out. So every time we go off to work, the alarm clock goes off, we get on the bus, we start work at 7 or 8 or whatever it is, we're working for ourselves and we're working for other people. It is catastrophically unfair.
I don't know if you saw this, but within the article of the Daily Mail, and it is interesting if you get the paper, Pete's page 4, there's a little box that says plans for an online self-service benefit system are set to cause even more problems. Whitehall reports state the digital self-serve system aims to get more people applying for PIP, personal independence payments, online rather than by phone or a written application or a meeting. Now, in COVID, people were claiming everything by not having to see, and you didn't have to go to the job centre anymore to prove that you were viably looking to be employed. We're now into a position where this government want it to be that people can just apply, OK, to get benefits, and it'll be a box-ticking exercise. People, I don't know why somebody hasn't sat down and gone, we are putting ourselves in a position where people are going to be able to play the system, game the system. This is ludicrous, especially when everybody else, taxpayers, workers, are struggling with bills all the time.
Yeah, you are incentivizing people to play the system. Yep. You're inviting them. You're saying, look, have a go, take a chance. We're idiots. You'll probably get away with it. That's what the government is essentially saying, and that's going to make a lot of people try and game the system and try and get some money that they probably don't deserve. I agree with what you said earlier. A welfare system is a really important thing. Yeah. There are some people who legitimately can't work. There are some people who are down on their luck for a period of time while they're looking for work and they need assistance too. These are legitimate cases for which the welfare state was created. Yeah. But it wasn't created to sustain vast swathes of people who just don't want to work.
I don't believe it was ever created as a bloody career choice. It is beyond me that you can go, I don't want to work, I don't want to go to college, I'm going to sign on. It was never meant to be that. And these hand-wringing, wet liberal... I mean, what do I hear the Labour Party say the whole time? They say... And I get the headline, you know, we don't want children in poverty. Well, stop having them. What's your view on the two-child cap? I mean, Charlie and I didn't agree. I think, you know, I understand if you're working, maybe there needs to be a differentiation. But I know from what I used to, if you keep popping them out, you get more and more money. That can't be right.
I think we need to actually completely turn it on its head. What we need to do is to make life easier for working parents who want to have 2 children or more and who really are working. The father's out working, the mother works when she's not having her kids. A family that is a really a unit that is contributing to society. If they want to have more than 2 kids, we should help them. We should incentivize that, in fact, because we all know there's a demographic crisis and the number of children being born is plummeting every year. But when it comes to families that are not not working at all, who are having more and more children. The problem when you remove the 2-child cap is that you incentivize them to have more kids, because that in itself becomes a career. And I was reading this morning, I think there are 186,000 families that don't work at all, whose benefits as of today will go up by thousands upon thousands of pounds. There is no incentive for them to work.
No.
And that causes generational problems, because their kids are seeing that you don't have to work. Their kids are seeing you can just live off the
message
state.
is that? What message is that?
Them? You know, it's really disastrous.
Do you think we should bring back the cap?
I think probably we need something in place which says to people, listen, if you're going to have large families, which we're all in favor of, you need to work.
Yeah.
And you know, my dad goes on about this all the time, because my mum and dad had 6 children when they were very young. They didn't get a penny off the government, apart from a child benefit, which is a universal benefit. And back then it wasn't very much money. And it drives people like that mad. People who do have large families, but who work hard for a living. Yeah. They are driven around the bend by this system that we now have. So I don't think we should punish people for having large families. Absolutely not. Quite the opposite, in fact. But you have to be able to work and look after your kids. That's not an outrageous thing to ask of people.
I read a story this morning as well, a lovely take on it, that it was about ADHD. I mean, people are now getting handouts if they've got ADHD. Now, I come from a different world. Me old girl, you used to have to have broken your arm to get a day off school. There was just, you know, that was just the way it is. I am a young parent. I've got young kids now. I completely understand we've all changed. We're all a bit softer. But that ADHD, you can be on benefits. I mean, that to me is ludicrous. Suddenly everybody's got ADHD. And I'm not saying, I know I've got somebody in my family who's got it. But the fact of the matter is, right, are we now saying if you've got ADHD and you're a little bit sort of as you are in terms of behaviour, you're not able to work? We're creating labels and we're creating problems for ourselves, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. And these ailments do exist, as you say. ADHD does exist, but at the same time, it is definitely being over described. If you look at the symptoms for ADHD, it's almost everything. You know, it's people who have a problem with queuing up, or people who interrupt conversations. I mean, you do have this ever-broadening definition of these kinds of maladies that people are suffering from. And often what you find, and doctors will admit this, I've seen interviews with doctors admitting that people will come into their surgery and say, please diagnose me with ADHD. And this happens a lot amongst middle-class kids as well, in fact, who don't want to do their university exams or want to have an interesting ailment that they can talk to their friends about at the dinner party. And then, of course, it happens in poorer communities because they know they get access to benefits. Once again, we're incentivizing people to think of themselves as ill, to think of themselves as incapable of working.
Victims instead of somebody that can recover and build. I think that whole thing's true. I think we can talk about financing it, which is unfair in its entirety, but we also need to talk about the mental side of this, because people are playing a system. And if you're saying to people, you know, any excuse and you can have a day off, any excuse you can get a handout. Listen to this from Gillian from Essex. She says, she says, tell Brendan this. I know a woman who left a job, did not get sacked, filled out a form online that day for emergency assistance, having got paid 6 months upfront and got 900 quid paid into a bank within 24 hours.
I mean, it's just ludicrous. It's
left her job. I mean, you can't. People leave their jobs for all sorts of reasons, but it's just. It's the messaging. I'm completely right. I want to throw through a couple of other things very quickly. Junior doctors on strike tomorrow. That'll be 10 straight days over Easter. Wes Streeting, he stuck his head above the parapet and gone, oh, that's a bit unfair, but then you gave them 28% with no conditions attached, Wes. This is on you. Do you think it's time to make doctors striking illegal?
I don't know if I would make it illegal, but because I think the right to strike is very important. But of course, as you were saying earlier, Jeremy, there are some organisations and some workforces that are not allowed to strike.
The police, the army. I just think the BMA is so politically bent that I don't know how we get over this.
But, you know, one of the things that really shocked me when I was reading about those messages that some of the junior doctors were posting online saying we're going to get 10 days off and childcare will be sorted and we'll have a bit of a holiday. it really brought home that so few people these days have that sense of public duty, that sense of public service. Do you remember when a doctor was like a very serious role in society?
Yes.
We were all slightly scared of the GP because, these were the respectable people at the end of the street, and they were well educated, and they served society, they served community.
Yep.
That seems to have completely collapsed, and not just in the medical establishment, across the civil service, across the political class. So few people have that real sense of serving the public, and that's what's shocking about this strike.
I mean, I said it earlier, didn't know what you think, I haven't got much time, but all I ever hear is the conditions are rubbish and the money's rubbish, we're going to qualify and go to Australia. I'd make them sign a contract and say that if we're going to pay for your training and you can't leave for 10 years. But I can't get by when I look at them. They'll all be really offended by this. They just all look about 11 and need a wash. Just winds me up. Ed Miliband, you might have heard me and Charlie touching upon this. Rumours that the backbench have suddenly started to realise inside Labour that if you're billions in debt and there's £800 billion worth of a resource under the North Sea, it might make great fiscal sense to bring it out. Apparently even Rachel from Accounts has woken up to the reality. Who'd have thought it, Brendan?
Well, and about time too. Perhaps they've been listening to your show, Jeremy, because we've been talking about this for a long time. The absolute suicidal lunacy of net zero, where we are not becoming an energy independent nation, which
not at all.
Which leaves us more susceptible to global shocks like the Iran war. Everyone's blaming our energy crisis on Trump and this war, when in fact it's because we've had net zero for so many years. We're not prepared for emergencies like this. But yeah, we've got to dig up our oil. We should dig up more of our coal. We should be pursuing nuclear. We should be creating jobs, creating energy, making ourselves more independent. It is the most logical thing to do.
And just finally, God, this got me. Keir Starmer has been urged to block Kanye West's visa to stop him headlining the Wireless Festival. This is a big music festival in Finsbury Park, North London, in July. He came out on Saturday. Listen, can I just say, to me, Kanye West is abhorrent, right? But the PM said it was deeply concerning that the controversial US rapper had been booked to headline a London music festival despite his history of anti-Semitism. Here. A couple of sponsors has pulled out. But somebody said to me earlier, Brendan, and this is right up your house, right up your street, he's very vocal about that, and I'm not condoning anything about Kanye West. What about Bob Villan shouting deaf to the IDF at Glastonbury? What about the people that go on those hate marches and set fire to Israeli flags? Not a word from Starmer. This is cheap publicity by our PM, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely. Kanye West in some ways is an easy target for Starmer because, as you were saying earlier, he's not a voter. He doesn't come from any part of the Muslim community in the UK, who Starmer is always worried about upsetting. He's not a rapper at Glastonbury surrounded by posh white kids all chanting death to the IDF. So it's an easier target for Starmer to do some moral posturing. That's what he's doing. And then we have Sadiq Khan saying that Kanye West's views are not welcome in London. I'm sorry, Sadiq, you've let people march for 2.5 years, screaming for the destruction of the Jewish state, calling for the death of Jewish people through a new intifada. So actually, Kanye West does fit in London, thanks to people like you. That's what we need to say to these politicians.
I think that London should say, you're not welcome in London, Sadiq Khan, but there we go. Listen, mate, absolute pleasure to have you on. Enjoy the rest of your bank holiday Monday, but so grateful, really are, for you joining us this morning. The legend that is Brendan O'Neill, Chief Political Writer at Spike. Thank you very much indeed. 7:25, Bank Holiday Monday. If you are at work, if you are heading out, if you are part of Alarm Clock Britain on a Bank Holiday Monday, let us know where you are, why you're at work, and how you respond to the feeling that actually, from today, those on benefits are getting £6,000 a year more than you are. You're just going to get increased taxation and you're going to get your bills going through the roof, because that's politically fair, isn't it? Is it my... Anyway, coming back in 3.
Every Monday to Wednesday, midnight until 1, it is Talkback.
Such a shortage of housing. You've got landlords, right, have taken that on board, and it's an absolute disgrace.
Your stories, your opinions, it is your chance to have your say. So they're literally just being rented out as hotels, basically?
Yeah, rent a load of hotels.
Well, that has really shone a light for me.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to 7:30. Tommy is in the building. Tommy is incredible. I need Tommy every day. Tea on tap. He smells delightful and he's full of beans this morning. 7:30. Welcome to your Bank Holiday Monday. Are you chocolating? We haven't had any sign of a bit of chocolate in this. I have to... Christian just looked at me. This is what Christian just said. He said, television adds £10, doesn't it? I don't think I'll be eating any chocolate. I think that was a fattest dig, to be honest. Morning, Jez. Happy Easter. Re-ADHD. I look around and see so many youngsters diagnosed, but isn't it mostly just naughtiness that in my day would have been solved by a smack bottom? Now, Graham, in Scunthorpe, how much the world has changed. If you try and smack the backside of your kid, you'll either be done for doing something inappropriate or taken to the European Court of Human Rights and told that you're being violent. I don't want to have a debate about smacking, by the way, but I will say this. I just think, here's a question for you. I mean, what sort of ailment should you get benefits for? Should you get benefits for ADHD? What about giving that money to parents who are trying to get their kid diagnosed and get some medication? That might be a good idea, mightn't it? Or is that too commonsensical? Far too. Morning, Jez. There's no better incentive to get a job than to have no money, says Pete from Shropshire. You see, there's the old thing, isn't it, right? If it's just different. Jackie, good morning.
Morning, Jazz. Jackie from Oldham. Did you know that as of the 1st of April, the new contract comes into effect for GPs, whereby you won't be able to get referred to a consultant at the hospital? It will be advice and guidance. Absolutely diabolical.
She's not happy. Junior doctors, of course, going on strike tomorrow. They've already had Easter off. They had nearly 30% 12 months ago. They want something else similar. The government's offered them 7%. There's an open warfare. Listen, people don't always agree with me. The army, the police aren't allowed to strike. I think if you're costing people lives and stopping people having, life-saving cancer treatments and stuff like that by your left-wing union heads telling you what to do, I think it's a dangerous position. I'm not saying people don't have the right to strike, but I do think people need to have taken away from them the situation where they are blatantly taking advantage. But so many people do. Russell Dixon, Jez, if you want to have people to have to go to be assessed for benefits, then you need to make sure the staff are there. A friend of mine is a senior manager with DWP and he works from home anytime he's got a bit of a cough or sniffles and he doesn't feel like going into the office because the traffic might be difficult. And apparently he's stressed about his job. Russell in Derbyshire, yes, I absolutely get the picture. Thank you. Right, just gone 7:30. The situation in Iran goes from... I mean, it was an extraordinary stories over the weekend about the capture of that American pilot whose F-35 was downed. Trump has also hit out in a couple of explosive tweets across the weekend. Delighted to be... I'm now calling him my resident. I mean, he's just brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. British Army General Sir Simon Mail. Sir Simon, good morning.
Hi, Jeremy. Good morning.
See, proper chap on a bank holiday Monday. Look at that. I got the tie and the shirt on. Have you been eating lots of chocolate, Simon?
No, I've reached the age where waistband issues, Jeremy. Thank you.
Well, and you.
I empathise and sympathise with those who do.
It's
lovely part
hopeless.
of Easter.
And gin's no good, and neither is wine. Can we start with this? I mean, I read about it at the weekend. This capture, or rather recovery of this pilot. This F-35 went down. It was an American jet, I believe. 2 pilots, 1 pilot and a co-pilot were ejected safely. One was picked up very quickly. They described the American plan to get back the second one as unbelievable, audacious, and it nearly went wrong. What do we know to be factual, Sir Simon?
It was an F-15, Jeremy. Not to be a nerd. The F-35 is 2 generations on from an F-15. An F-15, a bit like Top Gun, has a pilot and a weapons officer in the back. It's a sort of Maverick Goose configuration. It was hit. As I say, it's an old aircraft. It's by no means it's a huge, highly effective aircraft, but it's not new stealth technology. It was hit. The pilot, as you say, was lucky enough to be rescued very quickly. The weapons colonel, who will be of a certain age as well, he won't be a young man, clearly was injured in the ejection, which puts huge pressure, very bad on spines, backs, etc., landed, and his training kicked in immediately. He was able to leave his ejector seat and the parachute and head for high ground, hit his transponder to let the Americans know that he was alive and on the move. They'll have tracked him instantly where he was. He wouldn't be transponding the whole time because that'd get picked up by the Iranians. Headed for a high ground, again, just to put as much distance between himself and any pursuers. They'd have put a drone in instantly over him. They'd have tracked him by his transponder and probably by thermal imaging. And then they'd have done their best to put a permanent, what they call, combat air patrol over him to make sure that any Iranians they identified getting any close to him would have been attacked. You then actually got the problem that you've actually got to physically lift him from the ground. I think the first pilot appears to have been winched up by a helicopter. The second one, they actually had to put aircraft on the ground in order to find the man. And as we know, during that, there were issues with the Hercules, as we'd known in the British Armed Forces, of Charlie 130, getting bogged down, which meant they had to then hold a cordon around the ejected pilot till they get another aircraft in, get him out, and the crews of the aircraft they left behind. So complex, very risky, very audacious, extremely expensive, with a really strategic importance in terms of the battle of the narratives. You could argue only the Americans could have done it. Frankly.
I love what you said about the narratives, because lots of people that I was with at the weekend were saying, well, what's the point? They weren't being disrespectful to the one person, but the truth of the matter is there is absolutely a point, because an American prisoner of war being paraded on Iranian television changes the whole dynamic, doesn't it, Simon?
Absolutely. The pressure goes on the president. We saw it in the Vietnam War, and that was way before social media. We had it in the Gulf War. We had our own pilot shot down, the Tornado pilots there, and it's a nightmare. There's an individual story at the heart of it, of course, Jeremy. But in the current environment, then really that's the last thing they want. The fact of life is, with that number of sorties going on, that amount of lead in the air, just a mechanical failure. But for the Americans, it's very important for any serviceman to know that, frankly, the old cry, no man left behind. And you expend every effort to get your men and women out of danger if they've put their lives on the line for their country and their military.
Couldn't agree more. Let's talk about Trump. I've been quite vocal about how the government didn't support him initially. I've been quite vocal about how there's a poll that says that we shouldn't have gone in, irrespective of that. Over the weekend, he issues an expletive-laden threat demanding Iran reopens the Straits of Hormuz, otherwise he's going to wipe out every power plant. Next minute, he's saying they want a deal. From a military point of view and the express knowledge that you've got, is Donald? Is his reaction now symbolising a man who knows he's in a corner, that he's messed up, or is this rhetoric? What do you make of this, Simon?
Well, you've been watching him long enough, Jeremy. What Donald Trump does and what he says can be wildly apart.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think, he's a genius. Sometimes I think he's, absolutely bonkers. As we know,
like all of us, I think.
I'm sure a lot of people fall in that. There is a slight worry that a lot of people almost wish Donald Trump and the Americans to fail in this endeavor.
Yeah.
Some idea that we're stood by as spectators is absolutely fanciful, as we know. Our own Prime Minister saying not our war. Well, I'm afraid it is. So is Ukraine our war. They're all our war because that's the nature of globalized economy, security threats, etc. So I suspect the military are both heartened by what he says and almost use it as a distraction, and slightly worried because he raises expectations of what is achievable militarily. And most senior officers are well aware of the requirement to link your military actions with your political objectives. And we know where we would want that to be. We would want this regime to go where we can. We'd love its behavior to change. We'd love it to stop oppressing its own people. And we all need to get the Straits of Hormuz back. But equally, the military will be working the way, and I think I've said it before to you, Jeremy, through a very well calculated set of targets. And a lot in war is about distraction, and it is security, it is about diversionary. And so it wouldn't surprise me at all if on Tuesday something happens. I suspect because actually people know that hitting desalination plants, power thing, will take you into the thing of international law. Doesn't seem to stop the Russians, mind you. Let alone
my point. No, I agree with you. I think your analogy of him is great. There are moments when I think, geez, he's ahead of everybody, and then it's almost like he lets himself down. Yet whether he's losing the plot or not, I'm like you. I fully expect something genius to happen in 24 hours. Can he? I hate the word, but I can't think of another. Can he win this war in the end, or is it all about now the best way that he gets out of it with anything intact?
Well, half the problem, Jeremy, is defining what does win mean.
Yeah.
I think we now believe that, win for, inverted commas, most of us, and wouldn't be for the Iranian people, is opening the Straits of Hormuz and getting the free flow of not just oil, obviously it's gas and everything that goes with those energies. The ideal outcome, of course, would be an Iran that is no longer a threat to its neighbors, proxies, etc. No nuclear. Some of that has been achieved. So I think we are slightly, because we chose not to be part of this. We have lost because we're not taken as seriously as we should be and have been. We're probably no longer quite inside the decision action cycle. We're still sharing intelligence, but we're spectators.
Yeah.
Again, we've had this discussion: should a country of our size, responsibilities, etc., be in that position? Answer: no. But let's see. We rather forfeited the right to be armchair critics, or perhaps that's all we're left with by some members of the political classes.
Just fun.
Let's, for goodness sake, hope that the Americans do succeed in at least the limited objectives of Strait of Hormuz.
I couldn't agree more. I guess for me, his mistake, and I'm not a military man, you are, would be that he maybe believed that if he went in at the exact right moment, suddenly all the Ayatollah was available and they could push the button, that NATO or the Allies would fall in behind him. And I think the fact they didn't, and in fact, under this, another one of those bloody titles, the coalition of whatever, I think that is a shock. And I think he's probably realised that he probably does need the Allies' help. But how that dynamic works out. Simon, listen, genuinely mean this. Always an absolute pleasure to have you on. Are you going to have a nice, quiet Monday?
Yes.
Good.
Very nice. I think lunch and a walk.
Lunch and walk, but no chocolate. Good man. Lovely.
Thank you very much.
Lovely to have you on. So Simon Mayle, retired British Army General, is always welcome on this show. 18 minutes to 8. 0344 419 1000. Junior doctors start their strike tomorrow. They want another 30%. What do you make of it? 0344 419 1000. Our resident doctor, Dr. Aaron Ghosh, next on Talk Breakfast.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 7:45. We're live across the United Kingdom. This is Jeremy Kyle on Talk Breakfast. If you want to be on, 0344 499 1000. Get your voice notes in. Are you working on a bank holiday? Where are you working? Why are you working? Why don't you just not work? And then everybody on benefits will get more of your money. We'll say a very good morning to, a good friend of mine, and he runs Ghosh Medical Group. Aaron Ghosh, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy.
It's really interesting. My producer just said to me, Christian, he went, so ask Aaron, what are you supposed to do if you get ill? How are you going to get an appointment? I went, I'll just ring Aaron up. That's the way it is. Mate, you've been very vocal about this, and it's good to hear. Maybe it's old-fashioned to say, of course, people who do a vocational job shouldn't be taken advantage of, but I think certainly from what I hear, and junior doctors start their 5-day strike tomorrow, cleverly in the middle of Easter, so they'll get 10 days off. You're still hard at it. When you think about the people, Aaron, who will miss cancer treatments, operations, people who will die, how does that, as a doctor who does it because it's a vocation, how does that make you feel about those colleagues?
I think it's very hard as a doctor to take this kind of action, or it should be very hard, because you know patients are going to suffer. And that goes against our actual grade of what we're meant to be, to do no harm, to make sure that what we do is always in the patient's best interest. And you can't say these strikes, the 15th strike going on, is going to be in the patient's interests. It's absolutely not. It's only in one person's interests, and that's in the resident doctors.
Do you believe that the resident doctors, again, don't want to make it political, but the BMA has come under huge fire, and many will say quite rightly so. They seem to have a political agenda. Even Wes Streeting this morning accusing them of inflicting untold misery. Now, I've got my own beliefs about how he should have conducted, perhaps, the negotiations. But do you have any sympathy for junior doctors who are being manhandled into this by a union, or do you think it lays at their feet and they're just doing everything that they can to be destructive and destructive?
Yeah, do you know, Jeremy, I actually feel quite sorry for Wes Streeting here, because he's given them a deal that boosts their pay, it enhances their career opportunities, it improves their working lives. Keir Starmer's made an offer of 1,000 more placement jobs. I think this is a really good deal off an already bigger pay rise that they had last year. So I actually feel quite sorry for him. I don't think they're going to get a more sympathetic individual. I don't think he's handled the talks as well as he could.
But surely, we're mates. Surely 12 months ago, if he's any good at negotiation, he puts inside the contract, you can't strike for the next 3 years. And why not do a 3-year structured pay deal? To me, it was about political capital. You come in, you're going to get it done. I've sorted it out, I'm marvellous, and now he's been bitten on the backside, if I'm frank.
I think what actually happened when the talks broke down was actually the fact that he did stretch this out, and the offer that he put in was actually going to be going over a number of years, and the junior doctors, the resident doctors, then decided that's not what they're going to accept. But I do actually feel quite sorry for the fact that he's given them the deal. The independent pay body agreed and said that's what they should be paid. He's given them the placements that they asked for. He's given them actually more money in their pockets at the end of the day, which is a better situation. If I was the resident doctors in the BMA, and let's face it, the BMA are also in absolute disarray. They're about to go on strike themselves, their own workers, which is just ridiculous. The people organising the strikes are going on strike. This is just an absolute mess. I would have taken this deal and I would have said, do you know what, let's look after our patients. We've got another pay rise. We can go back and talk again next year.
But maybe there is something in the fact that they don't want to, in which one can level at them. You know, this goes beyond politics. I said something this morning, not everybody agrees with it. Do you think there's going to be increased enthusiasm in this country to say, you know what, if you carry on behaving like this, we're going to label you exactly like the police and the army and make it illegal for you to strike?
I think so, because you've got to remember later on this year, between May and July, the senior doctors are now going to be voting to see whether they go on strike. You also might get other groups who have accepted deals previously, the nursing group, paramedics.
Yeah, they got 5% nurses. That's why I could never live with it. I'd rather... You're giving junior doctors 28% and nurses 5%. That, to me, paramedics and nurses, I'd give them a pay rise. Not over, but at the same level.
Absolutely. You have to remember, junior doctors are not going to be junior doctors forever. They're going to get those senior pay rises and those senior pay posts. That's what we all went through. Not all of us can be neurologists in central London. Lots of us have to move around for posts and positions and for training. That's just the life of a doctor. I don't really understand what the residence doctors are saying this time, that they're really struggling to live, because I don't think when you compare it to your nurses or paramedic colleagues, you're really in the same situation.
And I was amazed, actually, when the nurses took that, and then there was nothing more said. It's frightening. Just to finish, great to have you on a bank holiday. Where does it end? Do you think that the government will get strong, or do you think this will just become a yearly sort of thing that reverberates? You know, they're on strike again, because patient care is suffering massively.
Patient care and the NHS, £300 million each strike, 15 strikes since 2023. You can imagine how much money this is costing, as well as the main point here. Patients are being misdiagnosed. Yeah. They're being misseen. A&E times are going up. This is not a good situation. The government need to get a grip. I'd hate to say to stop strikes, but I do think whatever deal they do eventually get to, they need to put something in there to say you can't be held to ransom again by the resident doctors.
Love having you on, mate. Hope you and the family are good. Have a great day. Eat the chocolate. The wonderful Aaron Ghosh from the Ghosh Medical Group. What is it, 10 to 8? Before the news, I want to go straight to my next guest, former head of Royal Protection, Di Davis. Di, happy Bank Holiday Monday, my friend. How are you?
And the same to you. Very good Monday to you too.
Dickie Arbiter, you've got the same walls. It's regal red. Di, stories keep coming out about Andrew. Yesterday, the family went on the church service for Easter. He was pictured scowling with his dogs. Dickie said enough is enough in terms of the fact that you've got cameras the whole time. I tried to argue that the unfairness that so many people feel about how he's behaved and the fact that he's still stuck in this, you know, oh, it's only 5 bedrooms with a chef and a valet, does not wash anymore. But I want to put to you what I was talking to Dickie Arbiter about earlier. Do you think enough is enough? Do you think that attention needs to refocus, or do you think this is of his own making and there's no way out of this scenario that he currently finds himself in?
Well, I certainly think it's of his own making, and for years now he's lived the life of Riley. Up until a year ago, there he was in Royal Lodge, lodging it, as it were. Now he's finding out what the reality of life can be for the vast majority. And in fact, it's not reality, is it? It's a 5-bedroom room. He's still got privately paid ex-police officers guarding him. He's got a valet. He's got a chef. Oh, come on, let's get real. He's brought this on himself, as far as I'm concerned. I have little or no sympathy for him, and I have less sympathy for those who've aided and abetted him for years, who've allowed this man to get away with what we are now alleging. No sympathy from me, I'm afraid.
Do you think he'll ever leave the Sandringham estate? You know, people say exile. I mean, if he goes to walk his dogs, he's going to get photographed. He had to leave Royal Lodge because he couldn't ride his horses. I mean, apparently Edward visited him. I don't care. The fact of the matter is, exile, I mean, he presumably would want to go abroad, wouldn't he?
Well, I don't know what his, if indeed he is on bail. I presume he's on bail.
Yeah, I don't know
and
that.
I don't know whether they've seized his passport, whether he could go to his friends in Abu Dhabi. I think given the war at the moment, he's better off in Sandringham, frankly. But yeah, I think he's entitled to go where he likes if he's still got his passport, or we don't know whether he's got his passport. What I want the police, all 10 forces to do is concentrate, get on with the job, get your witnesses, get their statements, and don't take months and months to bring charges if they're appropriate. Because at the end of the day, some are wishing this will be kicked into the long grass. Well, it's been 15 years at least. That should have been investigated, and here we are. And I suspect it'll take months and months if Clod as usual, take months. Look at the Harrods case, fired. Those victims are still waiting for the police to do the job properly. I mean, how long does it take to take a statement from somebody, get them in, look at the evidence, send it to the CPS and charge them?
Couldn't agree
Something
more.
horribly wrong in this country, how we investigate and take such a long time to do it.
But my fear is, without getting deep on a bank holiday Monday, that the implications are so great, which makes me wonder how many people would also come down with him and whether he'd squeal like a pig. I've said this repeatedly, that the whole thing will be thrown into the long grass. I just look, I think he's still, I mean, I think he's an arrogant, pompous, self-righteous pain in the backside. But you know what? Certain people are now saying, Di, that you and I would probably poo-poo. They're saying, well, you know, there's concerns now about his mental health and what he might do. How do you respond to that?
Well, I would appreciate there must be concerns, but I think anybody waiting any kind of trial, like in his case, would have a degree of mental health. You know, that's the new term for everything these days. Everybody has to have mental health issues. Yes, that's part of being normal, in brackets, if indeed he is normal. But I say again, you know, at the end of the day, he hasn't been charged with anything yet. So at the end of the day, it has to be the police that get on and do their job properly. And that's what I'm hoping at long last they will do. But, you know, I've called this like an octopus. You're right to say the tentacles reach far and high. And unfortunately, who else will be brought down by this? That's the big question to me. Who knew? Who didn't do anything? And at what level?
I mean, for me, that's absolutely right. We can sit here and go, you know, he's in exile. Is his life over in terms of he can't do anything? But I have said it with you, Di, since this started. I honestly think the monarchy is at a seminal moment, because I think he must have, I don't know the right word to do, I can't say it. I think he might have stuff on all of them, including his brother, and I think they'd be very happy for him to hide away, but they just don't know how far this is going to spread out, do they?
No, they don't. I called it, I did a documentary in Welsh, because I speak Welsh. I called it a conspiracy of silence. Now I'm alleging a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, because people must have known. And if you knew a crime was being committed and you either did nothing or you aided and abetted it, that's a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. And that has to be part of the investigation going on, as far as I'm concerned.
Completely agree, Di. It's a bank holiday. We love the fact that you took time to come on. We want to use you whenever we can. Thank you so much indeed. Di Davis, former head of Royal Protection. The news at 8 is next. And then Richard Tice, Reform's deputy leader on Talk.
Current affairs, international news, letting criminals off while sending... Oi! Oi! You shut up. I'm trying to record something.
Stand by for 3 powerhouse hours of breaking news, challenging views.
I don't give a
flying damn about international law. I think people will viscerally reject this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Labour MPs, they say, listen, Keir, your position is untenable. This is all about appointing that rat, Peter Mandelson.
We've now had another resignation from number 10. The plot is sickening, the noose is tightening.
His failings are internal. He's useless, incompetent, has no political judgment.
This is all part of Starmer's reset, getting rid of his inner circle. So Chris Wormold, we think fairly reluctantly, has stepped down.
What an absolutely crazy week for Keir Starmer. His second cabinet secretary, gone. His third chief of staff, gone. His fourth director of communications, gone.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Just gone 8. It's Bank Holiday Monday, but that doesn't stop us here on the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock. Brett, if you are kind enough to be listening or working or whatever, let us know your thoughts today. 0344 499 1000. Text as ever 87222. What are you waking up to? Well, you're waking up to news that, frankly, why are you bother working? Because I can tell you this, workers, you will be funding from today £3.5 billion benefits payday. The two-child cap is going to be lifted, giving jobless families on benefits a lot more money to the tune of about £6,000 more than you, who, of course, go to work and pay your taxes, and everything's going up. Your council tax, your VAT, I don't know, your water bill, your TV licence, everything's going up, and there is no fairness in a system. And before people jump up and down, yes, of course, we should support and help those who can't help themselves, but we should also very accurately accurately say to people, you know what, we're not going to pay for you to make a career choice of sitting on your backside. 0344 499 1000. Also in the news, junior doctors start their strike tomorrow. That will be cleverly positioned within Easter, so they'll get 10 days off. I say, people don't always agree, I'd make it illegal for them very soon to strike. I think the BMA is a disgrace. They had 30% last year. It tells you everything about Wes Streeting. You know, put some contractual ties into it when you do the deal 12 months ago when you're trying to look good. No, and he's fallen on his backside. We'll talk net zero and Ed Miliband with Richard Tice in just a minute. And just for a bank holiday Monday, to make you feel great about your life, not a long-serving Waitrose employee was sacked yesterday after stopping a suspected shoplifter stealing a bag of luxury Easter eggs. Walter Smith, who worked at the supermarket's store in Clapham Junction, confronted a thief and there was a brief struggle. He was sacked and he was sacked, not the thief. A Waitrose spokesperson said, as a responsible employer, we never want to be in a position where we are notifying families of a tragedy because someone tried to stop a theft. So if you work for Waitrose, it's fine, just let people nick stuff. I never thought our next guest would even be available, let alone up and about, looking as sprightly and as full of beans as he is. Richard Tice, Deputy Leader of Reform. Hello, good morning, welcome to Easter.
Morning, 24/7, Jeremy, whether it's Easter weekend, bank holiday, whatever. As you know, Reform are hard at work, coming up with plans to try and save broken Britain. That's what we're doing. And it's interesting actually hearing you talk about some of these ridiculous welfare claims and the vast cost that infuriates all of us who get up early in the morning and go to work. Well, I can tell you that over the coming weeks, Reform will be revealing significant proposals to bring down the welfare bill by, as Nigel said the other day, the greatest amount that I think anybody has ever seen. And as you say, we want a system that properly protects the genuinely vulnerable, the genuinely seek work. But enough's enough. I think that the British people know that we're being ripped off. And as you, that word fairness about everything is the critical word, isn't it? It's just not fair in the same way that the boat crisis is.
I mean, I have to agree. I mean, somebody gave us facts this morning, and you as the Shadow Secretary for Business will know this. Income tax, see if you can get, no, I'm not going to do it to you. Income tax revenue this year, £331 billion, right? Welfare spending already 333 billion, 2 billion more. They reckon by the end of next year, 400 billion. It's not. And it's so important when you're doing this argument. It's really important for broadcasters and politicians, as you just did and I've done, to make the different analogy between those who really need it, who really cannot but want to work, and those who have, Richard, sorry, it's a fact, they're able to make a lifestyle choice. Somebody was telling me you can get £30,000 now on benefits. So if I'm offering you a job on 28 to start out and prove that you're any good, you're going to tell me where to go. That's not conducive to an economy that works, is it?
It's actually worse than that, Jeremy, because many people forget that benefits, of course, are tax-free. Whereas if you're earning 28 grand at work, you are taxed on that number, which accentuates the divide. And that is all thanks to the incompetence of the Tories, who are responsible for this. They froze the income tax thresholds at £12,500 whilst increasing benefits. And don't be surprised that eventually you got to a sort of crossover point where people realised, I get more in my bank account or in my pocket at the end of the week if I claim a lifestyle choice to be on benefits than if I set the alarm at 6 in the morning and go to work.
For balance, but also for your response, our esteemed Prime Minister writes in The Guardian today, workers, pensioners...
Does anybody read that?
Workers, pensioners and children all better off. Ignore the critics. We really are the party that stands up for working people. We have abolished the two-child cap benefit. This is one of the proudest moments of this Labour government because it will lift nearly 500,000 children out of poverty. Richard Tice.
Well, we know that's twaddle, and voters know that because that's why they're putting Labour in the sort of high teens in almost all of the polls that are coming out. People realise that the Prime Minister is just talking nonsense yet again, and I think he's the most unpopular Prime Minister since records began, give or take. So the proof's in the pudding, and that's why they lose by-elections week on week, and that's why I will be I'll be astonished if he's still the Prime Minister come the summer holidays.
It's really interesting for me. He says workers. Well, workers are not better off, actually, because they're losing their jobs because businesses are being crushed. Pensioners, I thought 10 million of them had the winter fuel allowance taken away. I just, listen, the two-child cap benefit, people will have their own opinions. Probably, without laughing for once with you, I saw it too much and too long. I'm desperate to help people who can't help themselves, but I'm telling you here and now, the feckless and the lazy will keep procreating whilst the state pays for them. What I agree is what Charlie Rodey said earlier, that we need to come up with support for working families who might decide they want to have another baby, but we need to balance that against being stronger with people who aren't. Rich, the other big news, I mean, there's all sorts. Just a quick comment before we get to your article in the Mail today. Junior doctors, I mean, even Wes Streeting today saying it's miserable. Well, you should have put more controls on the deal you made 12 months ago, shouldn't you?
It is astonishing that they're able to go on strike again so quickly. I think, as you said, it's sort of 15 times in the last 3 years or so. I think they're just not helping themselves, and they're certainly not helping the patients. They're not helping the reputation of our healthcare system, and it's a disaster. It really is, and more people are going to ask those fundamental questions you've been asking all morning, which is, if they carry on like this, then should they have the right to strike? I mean, you know, the right to withdraw your labour unless it's the army and the police has been a fundamental part of our society. But ultimately, if this group of people continue to take the mickey, and you've got people like a Labour Health Secretary asking very searching, serious questions of them, then we're into a different place, aren't we?
Couldn't agree more. Now, on page 10 of the Daily Mail today, you write, for too long, ideology has trumped common sense. It's our patriotic duty to tap all our reserves. Now, this is, of course, back, and you've made no secret from a reform point of view, net stupid zero. You've been very outraged. Well, you've been outspoken about it. It's reported above your article today for people who go and buy the newspaper. There's Richard's article, but above here it says, now Red Ed faces revolt from his own backbenchers over his ban on oil drilling. Over the Easter weekend, even Rachel Reeves, Rachel from Accounts, woke up and said, we should be drilling, right? I'm going to play you a clip. This is Ed Miliband on North Sea drilling. Let's play the North Sea drilling one.
Those people who say new exploration licenses, which is the issue people are talking about, will somehow create huge amounts of energy for us. I mean, they're just wrong.
Richard, response, please.
The man's a liar and he's a fool. And I have taken him on in the House of Commons on multiple occasions. I asked him just a couple of weeks ago, as well as one of his ministers, why the US gas price was just a fraction of the UK gas price when he keeps saying there's an international price for gas. No, there's not. It's a domestic price. And here's the evidence, which is in the article. So the US wholesale price of gas has not moved since this Iranian war began. The UK domestic wholesale gas price has gone up by some 60%. Ed Miliband is a liar and a fool. And your listeners and viewers, I think they already know that, frankly, but just to reinforce it. And you know, ever since I've been on Talk, I started talking about using our energy treasure when I was presenting the Sunday show on Talk 4 years ago. And
what a memory that was in terms of broadcasting. What an absolute piece of joy that was.
There you are. But that's the reality. Yeah. And it's all of our value, and frankly, it is our patriotic duty to use all of this energy treasure. It is treasure. It's under our feet, onshore, offshore. Let's use it because the evidence is clear. It gives you energy independence and security, gives you jobs, it gives you growth, and it brings the bills down. It brings down the cost of living, whether it's for businesses who can then have lower prices for their customers directly on your customers' bills. And that's what we should do. And I just think it is our patriotic duty. So
it's really interesting.
As Lincolnshire MP, I say Lincolnshire gas for Lincolnshire jobs for Lincolnshire growth. Happy days.
It's interesting because you, in the headline for too long, ideology has trumped common sense. I'm all for people looking at different ways of doing anything, but the truth of the matter is, and do you know why I explain it like this? Not because I'm being disrespectful to people listening, because I want to try and hammer home the message. The truth is, as you said, there are reserves under the sea and gas under our own shorelines, right? That's a fact. So his approach is, this is disgusting, I'm going to find different ways of doing this. So he implements, let's just use the instance of wind farms, which he absolutely knows are created by importing goods to make them from areas that use the very ways of controlling things that he hates. But more than that, I know it gets worse. So he imports that. Then he knows that it won't make enough electricity, so then he goes and imports it from somebody else and pays more money when we've got it, and the Norwegians are... The whole thing is ludicrous. But I have to say, that above you, now Redhead faces revolt. With Rachel Reeves and with his backbenchers, are we going to see a screeching U-turn? This is Miliband. I mean, honestly, he's like Teflon. This is him on the net zero drive.
Countries around the world emulated us. We've got this mission, clean power by 2030. If we achieve that, and I'm absolutely determined we do, other countries will say, look what Britain's been able to do. We can do that too. So let's not have a diminished view of Britain. We really matter in this. So many countries come to me and say, you've got a really important responsibility here.
I've never seen that. He looks completely mad in that, Richard Tice.
He is completely mad. Other countries are literally laughing. They are laughing at our naive stupidity as they steal our jobs, they take our money, and they say, you carry on, Britain. If you want to basically destroy all of your economy, outsource all of your industry to us, happy days. That's what they're saying. They're not admiring us for this. They just think we are incredibly naive and stupid, and that we are led by lunatics. That is the reality. I have more bad news for your listeners, Jeremy, this morning, which is that if the May elections go as bad for the Labour Party as all the polls predict, it's quite likely by the summer holidays, Ed Miliband will either be the Prime Minister or the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
I mean, you brought it up. You know, my job is to look at all sides. You brought up the poll, page 4 in the Mail today. Straight talker Kemi is now the most popular party leader, says a poll. And Lord Ashcroft over the weekend, it needs to be said, a Tory party donor, yes, but his opinion poll, the first one in 236, you see, I know the numbers better than you, put Reform, the Greens and the Tories level on 21%, which begs the question, what has happened? How is Reform seemingly losing support, and Nigel Farage as well? What's your answer, Richard Tice?
I think the poll was coincidentally very close to April Fool's Day. Maybe it was on April Fool's Day, frankly. The idea that when you look at week in, week out, how well Reform are winning by-elections and how badly the Tories and Labour are doing in those by-elections, and that the Greens might be equal. I mean, it's extraordinary. But
somebody said earlier it might have been London-centric. I don't know if that's true at all. Somebody texted us
I don't
earlier.
know. All I know is the evidence week in, week out is that Reform in by-elections every Thursday are doing extremely well, and let's see what happens on May the 7th.
Do you... I haven't had this conversation with you, either on the radio or over a glass of wine, but the Green Party... I watched Gorton and Denton unfold. I don't think enough was made of the fact that, I mean, we can laugh and say, you know, this man used to do this job. To legalise heroin, to basically say that anybody can come here and get a house and a wage, to basically say we're going to get on a commercial flight to Russia, shake Putin by the hand and basically get rid of all of our defence, not that we've... Does this not need to be called out far more vociferously than it is? Or are we saying that 20%, nigh on, of this country is that idiotic? Because that frightens me a lot. And we have a Labour government, but that lot frighten me.
I think they frighten tens of millions of British people, but it's not 20%. And as they come under scrutiny and as people realise, including many people who voted for them in that parliamentary by-election at Gorton and Denton. I mean, I knocked on doors where voters Muslim women, first of all, they said, well, I don't make the decision, my husband does. Secondly, they had no idea at all, as people who are, socially very conservative, they had no idea at all about Polanski's views on, for example, trans issues and drugs, all of which those of the Muslim faith, they abhor that, and yet they were being persuaded to vote Green. So it will all be exposed.
But police did say, Richard, that no evidence was found of family voting. I've never asked you that, but they did, didn't they?
They did say that, which is pretty extraordinary, given that the Democracy Volunteers came out within minutes of the polls closing to express their deep concerns in a significant number of the polling stations that they went to. So,
and that was an independent group, wasn't it?
That's an independent group that is one of the monitors and observers that look at by-elections and elections. So yeah, we're calling it out for what it is, and a reform government will significantly change the way that postal ballots are given out to all and sundry. That should be dramatically reduced. And this idea of family voting, where your other half can come into the polling booth with you, it is outlawed, but it has to be properly enforced, and it clearly wasn't in that by-election.
Just the other story, and then I'll let you go, because you've lots of chocolate to eat today, I assume, unless you're going for a run.
No, I'm being very good, Jeremy.
Why is that, Richard?
Well, I just got to keep at it. When you get to our ripe old age, Jeremy, you have to watch the waist.
Do you know what my wife said? He's quite good looking, isn't he?
Oh, just keeping you on your toes, she is, Jeremy.
I'm not going to say it. There's something I could say there. I get into trouble. This Kanye West thing, the Wireless Festival, Pepsi, the main sponsors, pulled out this morning. I think he's awful. I think he's abhorrent. I talk more about anti-Semitism than anything else. But to me, the political naivety of Keir Starmer is shown here in all its glory. He's announced it's deeply concerning. He called for him not to be allowed. Backbenchers are saying he shouldn't have a visa. I don't necessarily disagree with Kanye West being banned, and I mean that. What I find absolutely extraordinary, Richard, is not a mention of this when Bob Villan at Glastonbury was spouting deaf to the IDF. Nothing from our Prime Minister, who's married to a Jewish woman, when those hate marches are taking place in London every weekend and they're burning the Israeli flag. This is him encapsulated in a heartbeat for a headline. I don't believe that this is anything to do with anti-Semitism. I think this is a box-ticking exercise and shows that actually anti-Semitism isn't central to his thoughts as well. It's just the latest thing that he's been told to say or do.
I'm afraid you're right. And I think the Jewish community, who are horrified and sadly terrified by the hideous rise in anti-Semitism in the UK, they're sick and tired of waffle and words coming out occasionally from Labour politicians. What they actually want to see is some action. They want to see the IRGC prescribed. They want to see the Muslim Brotherhood prescribed. And they're not seeing any of that. They're not hearing any of that from this government that just mouths platitudes. And we need some real action. We've been calling for that ever since the general election, frankly. And that's the right thing to do. And the Jewish community, they know it, and that's why they are very, very pleased and indeed voting and polling for reform.
Mate, it's great. I genuinely mean this. Thank you for putting a suit on and looking as sharp as you do on a bank holiday Monday, and enjoy the rest of your day. The excellent Richard Tice, MP, of course, the Deputy Leader of Reform. Thank you very much indeed. 8:23. Still to come this, I was going to say Mrs. Tice. Isabel Oakeshott will be here. Ryan Saby, Deputy Chief Political Editor of The Sun newspaper, will be here. There's loads of people. Ben Habib is going to be here. Everybody's here. 0344 499 1000. I mean, I thought bank holiday we'd struggle. By the way, are you listening? Hello out there, are you? Where are you listening? Why are you listening? Why are you maybe listening and eating chocolate? Morning, Matt.
Morning, Jeremy. Matt in Hove here. So, today, people that are on the dole are getting a pay rise, and the Employment Act comes in where people can go on the sick from day one. Is it any wonder that no firms are hiring in the UK? I run a headhunting firm in FX, financial services, and none of London or England clients are hiring. I work with the offices across Benelux. We are. Why is people on universal credit getting a pay rise? This is absolutely insane. I'm done with this country. I'm leaving. It's an absolute hole.
Conflict breaks out anywhere in the world, it has consequences here at home. Talk War is your definitive national security briefing. From the conflict in Ukraine to the tensions in Gaza and the latest escalation with Iran, this is where you'll find comprehensive comment and expert analysis with multiple updates throughout the day. The Talk War podcast from Talk, available on the Talk app or wherever you get your podcasts. Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to Talk. It's the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock Britain. You're waking up this morning to the news that if you go to work, everything's going to continue to rise. Your council tax, your water bill, your mobile phone bill, your energy bill. But if you're on benefits, as of today, you'll be, well, we're basically paying for you 3.5 billion quid to get about £6,000 more a house. Because we know how hard it is. And don't start on me about the people who genuinely are on benefits. Let's talk about the people who are taking the whatever. Suze, people on benefits are not living in poverty. It's a Labour lie. It's more likely to be working people. A couple with 3 kids are on up to 76 grand worth of benefits to tax-free, including housing benefit. Really? To get that income and worker needs to a salary of about 140. A singleless, workless parent with 1 child who has ADHD can be on 37,000 tax-free. Council tax exempt, figures reported in the Daily Telegraph. These people will never work and nor will their children. Just more and more people on benefits and all of us lot working to pay the bill. Oh, dear God. Tyrone. Doctors can go on strike and it wouldn't make a bloody difference. Have you not tried to book a doctor's appointment lately? You might find you can't. Same if you went private, you're likely to wait 4 days. Might I suggest a challenge to your show in your studio? Try and book a doctor's appointment and see how far you get. I have relatives living in across 2 third-world countries in South Africa, and they get better medical care. But you do pay for it. I think don't get me on. Jez says Linda Whittingham. No, yeah. As a pensioner who just gets over 13 grand a year and is now taxed, when it suits, it's called a benefit. But because it's not a benefit in pensions, it's taxed. I feel let down. Do you know what? There must be so many. Ruth Baker, I am on PIP. I have one leg, also broke a leg, and I'm blind. There are people in my street who chose not to work and they're going on holidays. They've got nice cars. My partner is employed. We haven't been away for 4 years. It's absolutely ridiculous. And although I am on PIP, we do not claim for anything else but PIP. I get £800 a month. They get double that. You see, there's a lady. That's exactly... Ruth Baker is the reason that I will go on and on and on, because people will always attack and go, you're being really unfair to those. No, I'm not. Ruth Baker, I'm happy to work round the clock to pay for that lady who genuinely is on benefits, right? Read this from Steve. Morning, Jez. Benefits tax-free, yet in a minute my pension that I paid into for years will be taxed. Us old uns aren't any better off. That's the truth. That is how people feel. 0344 499 1000. Yeah, that's right. Almost 8:30, losing the plot. Bank holiday Monday. Ryan Saby, deputy political editor of The Sun. Are you on holiday in your shorts? No. Christian said you were in your shorts. What's going on, Saby?
I wish. No, working today. We're back at it after the Easter break.
Well, I mean, you're probably surprised I'm here. Back at it. It's what you got to do. On a serious note, I suspect your website and The Sun, great pieces today all over the place, and I know Trump's on the front, but I bet this benefits bill thing's going to wind people up, isn't it? I mean, this 3.5 billion benefits payday from today for thousands of people on long-term benefits, you know, not being forced to work or anything. And alarm clock Brits, as we know, really, really struggling. I don't know if you know this, right, but today there was some figures released. Income tax revenue this year through the Treasury, 331 billion, and welfare benefit spending has already shot past that, 333 billion, and will hit 400 by the end of next year. It's unsustainable, this, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's why we saw the budget last year. Kemi Badenoch struck this chord with the British public. The figures were revealed, as you mentioned there, that, you know, the welfare spending was going up. Who was paying for it? It was hardworking. It was hardworking people up and down the country. And she seems to have, you know, really sort of cottoned on to this, really stuck with this line of attack. And it is sticking. And I think that's one thing that the government, you know, they've tried to attack it once. They've tried to reduce the benefits bill once last summer. The Labour rebels, they all, you know, pretty upset about it, and the cabinet balks there.
But at 400 billion by this time next year, he was trying to cut just 5 billion. What I'm not even very good at maths, about 1%, 1.2%, right? And his party didn't allow it. I get really... I mean, today, of course, they've lifted the 2-child cap. He said a statement, this is the proudest moment for the Labour government, to lift the child... And you know, I don't necessarily agree. I think it needs to be looked at. I think people that work could well be helped. But I don't think if you are long-term unemployed, showing no desire to work, that you should permanently be paid to shell out kid after kid.
Yeah, and I think it is interesting that there is that big divide. And I think the other thing to look at on that policy, Keir Starmer didn't really want to touch the 2-child benefit for a long, long time. And as soon as that he realised that he was in a sort of bit of political difficulty, he's then changed his mind. And he's then saying it's one of his greatest achievements since he's been in power. So I think that's one thing to look at. But I think the overall benefits bill, and we looked at the Reform Party last week saying they're going to stick to the triple lock. Now they say they're going to afford it by cutting other benefits. I think looking at the triple lock is something that every single political party needs to look at. But again, they seem to be running away from it. You know, the triple lock was brought in to bring, you know, the state pension in line, bring it up to speed with, you know, whether it's inflation or wages. Now, that was brought in best part of 15, 16 years ago. It's time all parties had a sensible look at that, because that and pensions are just getting out of control as well.
When's Alarm Clock Britain, in your mind, going to get a pay rise?
Well, I think the trouble is with Alarm Clock Britain, the people who are actually doing shelling out the pay rises in that is the private sector. Now, I know a lot of people work in the public sector. That is set by an independent commission every year. But when it comes to the private sector, look how difficult it is for the economy. Look at the interventions and the tax measures this government has put in, whether it's, companies having to deal with the minimum wage, having to deal with national insurance. There just isn't, for a lot of companies, whether it's small businesses, even larger ones, there just isn't that room for manoeuvre to give hardworking people those tax rises they deserve.
Well, there would be if they balanced the books and stopped spending hundreds of billions of pounds and people sat on their backsides doing nothing. But that's quite outrageous. I wanted to bring this to you. Yeah, it's not in the Sun, but it's in the Mail, but you touched upon it in the Sun. Straight talker Kemi is now the most popular party leader, says a poll. This poll, and I think there was also another poll this weekend, which for the first time did not have Reform in the lead. I'd love your response to this, right? I think it was a Lord Ashcroft, former Tory donor. We don't know whether it was London-centric or not, but it had Reform, the Greens and the Tories all on 21%. Does seem a bit out of kilter, but I did put it to Richard Tice. Have Reform's numbers started to fall in your mind, and if so, why?
I think what's happened is I think there's been a big surge of Reform, obviously, over the past 2 or 3 years. They are still extremely high in those polls, but is it that they've just come down 2 or 3% as the polls recalibrate, with Kemi Badenoch doing a little bit better? You've got the Greens obviously surging as well. But I think one of the interesting things from that Lord Ashcroft poll, it wasn't how would you vote if there was a general election tomorrow. It'd be how would you vote if there was a general election come what may in 2029. So it was actually looking. So a lot of the time when people say if there's an election tomorrow, would you vote Reform? Well, yeah, potentially. But, when push comes to shove and they have to really seriously sort of think about how they're going to vote, they're not going with the flavour of the month. Perhaps, there is a couple of percent to come off that Reform lead. And I think the interesting thing about those, where we see those three parties in the lead, it does lend itself to a conversation where Reform and the Tories are going to have to talk about coming up with some kind of coalition, whether it's a non-aggression pact when it comes to voting. So I think, and also you look at that, there is a sort of inbuilt anti-Reform alliance sort of growing there that could win an election. So I think there's serious conversations on both sides of the political divide to be had.
I think that's absolutely right. You talk to anybody in the Tory party or Reform right now and they will not entertain this at all. But I have said to anybody and everybody, if in 2 years and 9 months, 12 weeks out from a general election after the 5 years that I imagine, honestly, the first two haven't been great. Is there going to be a point? Of course, nobody from either party right now is going to say, yeah, we'll do. But I do wonder if those mad people at the Greens and the Labour Party and the Liberal Democrats join forces, would the right not decide that the right thing to do was to not be involved? I don't know. But it's an interesting time. I think that both political parties, certainly the Tories, need to spend more of their time talking about the Greens. I really do. I know. One thing I took from that poll was, so 20% of this country support the Greens. That's quite frightening in my mind. Sorry, just being honest.
Yeah, no, I think as well you've got, where is that vote coming from? I think there was some polling over, some other polling over the weekend that they are picking up support from everywhere. But I think look where all those Labour voters are going, the Lib Dem voters. They are heading towards the Green Party. I saw Zach Walensky,
Dave,
at an event the other week where he was making a speech, and he is an engaging figure, and you can see why. There is a clamour towards him. You may not agree with the policies, you may think they're slightly out there, but if you are on that side of the political spectrum, you are going to be flocking to it.
Couldn't agree more, mate. So have you eaten lots of chocolate?
Yeah, no, I've had a couple. I'll be saving one for after I filed later on this afternoon as well.
Good man. We love having you on. The brilliant Orion Savey, Deputy Political Editor for The Sun. Thank you very much indeed. What is it? 8:38 on Bank Holiday Monday, and number 3, as I call her, Ava, number 3, because there's 6 of them, I forget the names. She's on a train south to see her dad. That means I want you to buy me lunch, Dad, is basically what we're saying on a bank holiday, yeah? But it'd be lovely to see her. She says, I'm watching you on the train. Great. Well, that's 1. 0344 419 1000. Morning, Anna.
Morning, Jez. Anna, sorry. So I am the wrong side of 55. I work 6 days a week, at least 10 hours a day, and it's seemingly, according to your figures, I bring in less than a person on benefits. I work for myself as well. I am normally stressed to the point of where I feel like I'm going to have a cardiac most days, and spend the majority of my time lately wondering how the hell I'm going to afford to retire unless I sell my house and leave everything I know and go and live somewhere where houses cost less. It's unbelievable, Jez. I might as well go on the soch. I might be better off.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Number 3's gone, love it, Dad. Ha ha. Just gone 20 to 9. We're live across the United Kingdom. JK on Talk, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock Britain. You're waking up to the news that if you are going to work today, thank you very much. That's for all the people on benefits, not the people who genuinely can work, the dossers. They're saying thank you so much because as of today, you working's got me an extra £6,000 a year and it's great. I'll be able to pay. I could update Sky, increase my mobility vehicle. Everything's looking great. Brad says, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2019 and have been on chemo and radiotherapy on and off since. Unable to work. But you know what, Jez? I would work if I could. When my money ran out, I had to claim benefits. It opened my eyes to the numbers of people claiming universal credit and PIP who are more than able to work and a lot who claim and work cash in hand. I agree with you. He says there are claimants who are genuine, but there are many now in this country who aren't. Barry's in Kent. I'm going to work today on Bank Holiday Monday. I work in car sales, and no doubt we'll get a lot of people coming in to get a free car on PIP. So many people not genuine. Don't get me wrong, a small minority are. We don't get paid for mobility cars. However, working hard and seeing people come in and take the mick and getting a brand new car just about does my head in. Chepstow, Darren, good morning. JK, what they need to do is put people on benefits on the minimum wage. This is interesting. People who need help, then OK. I know people are on benefits who could work. My missus does 50 hours a week for $1,500 a month gross. So why the hell should lazy ones get more? I've got to read this also. This is great. JB in Aberdeenshire. Jezza, up at 6, clean the caravan park toilets, in for something to eat, wash my hands first, of course. Some Storm Dave destruction to sort, then on to something else, getting ready for the sales job on the road tomorrow, a bit more work on our energy patent, recontact with interested parties. I'm 72 and wouldn't have it any other way. Sound and the knowledge the slobs sat on their fat asses collecting dole money when they should be out working won't make it to 72, all that fast food crap they eat whilst watching Netflix. Brilliant. I just resent the tax money I and my businesses pay to the Treasury is wasted so badly. The fat for any business these days has been stripped to the bone. Couldn't agree more. Let's head to the UAE. It's been a week and a half. She must have been on holiday. I've had withdrawal symptoms. Isabel Oakeshott, I've missed you.
Good morning, Jezza. Yes, I am back in the UAE now, and there's really potentially interesting breaking news on the crisis here in the Gulf. Reuters and Sky both reporting a potential ceasefire deal, which appears to be an attempt by the Pakistanis to negotiate a ceasefire. What they're after is something they're calling an Islamabad Accord, and that would be, if it comes off, massive if, that would potentially be agreed today and could potentially see the Straits of Hormuz reopened immediately with a final deal in 15 to 20 days' time. So a kind of two-stage thing, an immediate ceasefire, reopen the straits, and the exact terms to be negotiated over the next 2 to 3 weeks. I have to say, I am incredibly skeptical about this headline. It slightly feels to me like the Pakistanis trying to make history, putting forward this big thing that they want to be called the Islamabad Accord. I am not at all sure that this is workable, and that a ceasefire, welcome as it would be, unless there's a very, very concrete end game there, will be acceptable indeed to the Israelis, even if not to the Americans.
I had Sir Simon Mail
to bring that to you.
Sorry, no, thank you, darling. I mean, I had Sir Simon Mail on, retired British Army General, and he's proper old school in the way that I was brought up, really. But he said something very interesting. He said some of what Trump does is genius. He said some of what he does is toe-curlingly bad. But he said, I've learnt to understand that, or not believe, but think that there's always something round the corner with Trump. And, of course, the expletive-ridden rant and, you know, I'm going to bomb you into the end of the earth, and the next day, well, you know, we're going to do a deal. A lot of people now are saying Donald Trump's lost the plot, Donald Trump doesn't know what time of day it is. Other people are saying, seriously, that's just the way he is. There'll be something happening. There'll be something going on. So good to hear that. We'll keep a view on that throughout the day. Isabel Oakeshott is like my sounding board for common sense. Alarm clock Brits, as of today, Isabel, are funding a 3.5 billion benefits payday, which basically means if you're at home, you want to shell out kids, 2-child cap's gone, look at her face, you can get £6,000 more a year for doing absolutely sod all. But if you go to work, your council tax, your water bills, your mobile phone bills, your VAT, your tax, and almost everything else is going through the roof. Isn't that a clever way of running the economy? Not.
No, this is a massive problem, as is the new swathe of rights that came in, that's coming in today, that Keir Starmer has been boasting about in The Guardian, saying that this is the biggest strengthening of workers' rights in a generation. And these are things like day one rights to paternity leave, day one rights to sick leave, so on and so forth. This is a disaster for small businesses. Imagine you're a small business and you take someone on, and with all the absolute nightmare headache paperwork that involves, and signing them up for pension schemes, even though you've no idea whether or not they're going to stick with the job for more than a week. And then on day one, they say, actually, my partner, my wife's expecting a baby. I'm off on paternity leave at the end of this week. I mean, this is just a joke, isn't it? It's a complete and utter joke. How can our small businesses prosper in this environment? No wonder such a devastatingly high proportion of new businesses in the UK fail. This kind of legislation is so anti-business. It's not because people that start companies or build companies don't want to give people sick leave or treat them properly. It's because it is completely unrealistic to have legislation that is so tilted in favour of new employees who haven't proven that they plan to stick with the job in anything.
Completely agree. Let me I'll throw this out from Dale, because he loves you and he always texts me. And he said, I've said this to you before, Jez. In my mind, when benefit claimants reach the tax threshold of £12,500, they should pay tax, just like pensioners and the rest of us. People on benefits should never, ever earn more than people with even the lowest paid job. Make working pay more. This country's insane. We found out figures today, Isabel, and today's quite poignant. I mean, over the weekend, even Rachel Thieve seems to have worked out she's got some reserves in the North Sea. Income tax revenue this year, 331 billion. Welfare spending this year, just so far, 333 billion and 400 billion by the end of the year. We're scaring off anybody who's successful, the business we're talking about. So all the entrepreneurs who pay millions, by the way, to the exchequer, they're all disappearing from the country. And that point, right, to get up and do a shift, you're earning less than somebody sitting on their backside, and we are not talking about the genuine people. We're talking about the feckless and the people who take advantage. How did we get there, Isabel? How did anybody with a brain cell go, do you know what? We're going to reward laziness. I don't get it.
Neither do I, Jeremy. But look, I've come to the point where I agree, and there are a number of figures in reform who back this idea that it's time to tax benefits. Now, initially, I wasn't too keen on this idea because I thought it makes it sound like benefits are a sort of a job, you know, that's to be treated like anything else. But the reality is that it's very difficult to drastically cut benefits for people who are already on them. Politically, I'm talking about, because obviously, ideologically, I would desire to cut them for anyone who doesn't really deserve them. But it's a very immediate way of saving a huge amount of money, is to just say, look, if you're on benefits, you have to be taxed like everybody else. And before the usual suspects start piling in and saying, why is Oakeshott talking about this? She doesn't pay any tax. Just to be clear, I do pay UK tax. I do pay probably more than the average household in the UK in UK tax. So I'm not disqualified from talking about this as an observer. This just doesn't work as it is at the moment.
And you know what? We need to keep, the reason I will keep doing this, and the reason this has taken off today, is because I think all of us, with any sort of moral bone in our body, want to defend, help and provide for those who can't. But it is becoming farcical, and it needs to be... Let me read to you what Keir Starmer said today in The Guardian. Workers, pensioners and children all better off. That's a lie. Ignore the critics. We really are standing up for working people. We have abolished the two-child cap benefit. This is one of the proudest moments of this Labour government. Thought he didn't want to do it initially, because it will lift 500,000 children out of poverty. So whenever I have this debate, Isabel, everybody puts a tin hat on and goes, oh, how can you say that, right? Well, I can, because I used to do what I used to do. I think you can't just blanket say we're closing it off. I think you should give help to maybe working people. Jam's just about managed. You want to have 3 or 4 kids, I think that's great. But unless we front this out and go, you're not going to sit at home eating takeaways, watching Netflix with a brand new mobility car in the drive and have 6 or 7 kids and expect us to pay for it. Listen to this while you were on from Aussie. My neighbour is currently on holiday in Lanzarote. He's there for 2 weeks. He's made it known to me over the fence that he's taking delivery of his new disability car when they get back home. I've not had a bleeding holiday for 3 years and can't afford to change my worn tyres out on my old Fiesta. I'd love to leave the country. I can't understand how we've got here. I understand Aussie completely, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And so many people feel like that. They're struggling away, doing the right thing. You know, they don't want to take from the state if they don't absolutely have to. And it's only just enough to get by. And look, things are getting more expensive, and they're going to get more expensive over the next couple of weeks. I'm really concerned about what's going to happen on the petrol forecourts, what's going to happen with the price of diesel in particular, and then what's happening with food inflation. It's just getting tougher and tougher. People don't have job security in anything like the way they did in the old days, and you've got this ballooning class of people who think that it's just fine to play the system.
But my argument with that is that's because the blood, it's like the immigration system. I'm not sticking up for illegal migrants or doldosses, but we need to toughen up and we need to say that's not acceptable. You know, do you know what's come out today as well? You know, if you've got a child that's got ADHD, right? I've got a family member who's got ADHD, right? I get that, but check this. Plans for an online self-service benefit system are set to cause an explosion in welfare claims, a Whitehall source reports. The digital self-serve system aims to get more people applying for PIP online rather than in person, which is what happened after COVID when you didn't have to show your face to get a job. Everything we seem to do, and not just, by the way, this government, just seemingly everything we seem to do is geared towards making it easy for people to rip off those of us that try and live our lives correctly, and that can't make sense. Not at all.
It is the exact opposite of what should be happening. And I know from talking to somebody who used to be on the team, on the DW teams assessing PIP claimants, how important it is to have that in-person consultation. My source on that was really clear that doing this stuff by telephone even, never mind online, just tick a few boxes and maybe take some advice from some so-called sickfluencers while you're at it, even just doing it by telephone wasn't a proper belt and braces method of ensuring that you're not being having the wool pulled over your eyes. The scale of change that is needed to our benefits system is so radical, more radical than anything anyone has attempted since the inception of the system. I mean, I reckon maybe we have to cut about a third out of the bill. I mean, personally, I'd love to go probably even further than that, but nobody wants to see those who genuinely need that help having the rug pulled from under them. But we are in a really bad place.
Couldn't agree more. Could not.
Number of parents claiming their children are disabled when they quite simply are not.
Mate, it's great to have you back. Don't go away so long again. It was terrible. I felt abandoned, but thank you.
1 week. My God, I think it's the first week I've had off since I've been at Talk.
Well, it was a week, but it was too long. It was a bleak week for me, and we'll be having you on again tomorrow. We love you. Isabel Oakeshott live from Dubai in the UAE. I've got 45 seconds. James in Newcastle, 45 seconds. Go.
Yes, hello. So I just wanted to give some context. I'm a high-income earner. I make over £200,000 a year, but I'm a diagnosed person with neurodiversity, so I have dyslexia. So I wanted to test the process to see whether or not I would be eligible for PIP.
Yeah.
So I went through the entire process and I was able to claim up to over £700. I didn't, because I didn't think it was ethically the right thing to do. But I've just sat here going, what is our government doing? Someone like myself who's in a very privileged position, who's grafted his entire life, come from a working class family, put myself through university and apprenticeships, and I'm able to claim this. And I'm just thinking, what type of world are we in when this is where someone can earn that much money and then claim full allowance? It's disgraceful.
James, I totally agree. Thank you for the call. Morning, Pete.
It's Peter here from Bournemouth. As far as welfare benefit people are concerned, and Islam is concerned, the government has created a dependency culture in the hope that these people will vote for them at the next general election, if, that is, we have a next general election.
I was sat in the tent and he was showing me through photos of his phone, scrolling through. This was barbaric, horrific stuff. Blokes going through walls in vehicles and then jumping out and shooting everyone. His WhatsApp picture was him with a mask on, with a gun like that.
You're in a tent with this guy?
I'm in a tent with this guy, and actually he's just showing me this stuff. I'm just thinking, this is not the kind of bloke you want to be coming to the UK.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk. Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. Just gone 9 o'clock. I was up in Newcastle. See, I was in Newcastle, right, for bank holiday weekend with my kids. And I'm on the golf course. I'm not playing, I'm walking. Not allowed to play because I had the kids. I don't mean that, I mean I wouldn't. And this bloke from Scotland went, Jezzer! He was from Scotland. And I went, yeah. I didn't, because I'm not from Scotland. And he went, I've just found the talk, but I'm for sure it's nice that somebody tells it how it is. I think he was from Scotland. He might have just had a problem. Anyway, it was very nice. I don't know what his name was, but he sort of, I thought, oh my goodness me, that's very nice. And then this other bloke went, keep the fight going, Jez. Welcome to Bank Holiday. This is quite shocking. Angie goes, morning, Jack. I had a lovely bank holiday lie-in And frankly, I would have got up earlier if I'd known that you were on this morning. I had no idea. Loving the show. Thank you very much indeed. Don says, I'm up at 6 o'clock for a 15-hour shift, but hey-ho, that's what I got to do. This lot, doing bugger all, get a £6,000 pay rise, and we're funding it. This is the news you're waking up to, peeps. Today's the day that Brits will fund, well, alarm clock Brits like you, a £3.5 billion payday. For those on long-term benefits. Jobless families, the two-child cap's gone. Have as many kids as you want. All have £6,000. Keep procreating. We're just paying tax. And by the way, if you are working, your council tax, your VAT, your water bill, your mobile bill, your road tax, your car tax, your TV licence, that's going up. But at least you know, don't you, that you're doing the right thing by those who can't work. And before you start, I've been saying it since 6, and I make no apology. Not talking about the genuine people, the people who genuinely need our help. I love paying for them. But we've had many texts from genuine claimants today saying, Jez, I'd love to work, I can't. We had a guy, I've got cancer. Another one said, I'm an amputee, I can't work. But my neighbours are taking the mickey and they need to be called out. Tory. Jez, great show as always. I'm on benefits and I got told I had to leave my part-time job for a full-time one, even with health conditions that restrict me massively, and a disabled child who requires a load of care. I've been denied DLA and I'm also extremely frustrated with the 2 cap being lifted. So people who haven't worked in over a decade, and I'm struggling. I've not had a holiday in over 16 years, but they are constantly at nail bars and on holiday. This country is backwards. I'm sick of it. I love those texts because Tory is saying, thank you, right? Thanks for supporting me when I needed to, right? But the truth is, I know people are taking advantage. Good morning, Jeremy. My name is Maddie from Kent. On the topic of today's discussion, the end goal is about securing votes and kicking out hard-working alarm setters or making situations so worse than they either decide to switch to welfare or leave the country. Easy peasy. By the way, what a great breakfast show. I get so engrossed listening to it that I forget about my breakfast. Maybe I'll just rename it the show then, and then you won't miss out on your breakfast. Good. Let's say, this is very interesting. We'll say a very good morning. First up, leader of Advance UK. We love having you on. Check the red background. Ben Habib, good morning. See?
Good morning, Jeremy.
So Sir Simon Mail, ex-British Army General, Di Davis, ex-Queen's personal bodyguard, and Ben Habib, friend, you've all got red. What? It's regal, Ben. It's regal.
Well, I got this because I wanted a slightly nightclubby feel to my sitting room. So it's a sort of glossy red. It's not to everyone's liking, but I like it.
I think you're all in the... I think we've provided a studio this morning with red wallpaper and you're all there. Mate, great to have you on. There's so much I want to talk to you about because you're the straight-talking person that we love. What you heard me just talking about, alarm clock Brits funding this benefits package giveaway, and I'm always really careful to make the point that there are, and you heard a text, many people who genuinely are in need. And I don't know about you, but I'm happy, more than happy to pay for those people. But I do think there is a feeling now amongst really hard-working Brits, just about managing Brits, that there's no fairness. I mean, today we find out that income tax revenue this year, Ben, will be 331 billion, and we're only a bit way through the year. Welfare spending 333 billion, rising to 400 billion. We need to do something. This is not sustainable, is it?
It is not sustainable. As I'm sure viewers would have heard various commentators say repeatedly, we've got the highest debt levels since World War II. We've got the highest tax levels since World War II, and the country is creaking at the edges. Young people, bright people are leaving the country because they can't make ends meet here. Costs are through the roof for those who are working. And for those who are not working, they get repeatedly rewarded. And of course, there are legitimate people who legitimately are on benefits and on health benefits, etc. But they're going to be swept up in the blanket of blame that will rightly be pointed to those who are basically living off the state. And the Labour Party that used to represent the working class are now representing the dependency class. We've got 4 million people in this country who are not working and not even looking for a job. You know, when the government talks about 1.5 million people unemployed, they're actually only quoting the number of people. The figure only represents the number of people who are looking for a job. There are 4 million on top of that not even looking for a job. 5.5 million people entirely jobless. And then there are another couple of million people who are surviving on universal credit, topping up part-time wages. We are in a real pickle. And this kind of tax, borrow and spend culture, removing aspiration, removing the ability of people to improve their own lot, and encouraging people effectively out of work, which this new set of benefits does, increases that encouragement, is breaking our economy. There will be a day of reckoning. It's not a long way off, and when it comes, it will be blooming awful.
You know what I love about this show is that people will always make a judgment. You know, everybody on benefit must be this. And I've heard from so many people, and I'll read you a couple now this morning, who are on benefits, but that they find the whole system so abhorrent. Morning, Jez. I'm a benefit claimant because of a disability and health issues. I must be doing something wrong. I don't get anywhere near the figure you're stating, but then I'm a single woman with no kids at home, and it would be a medical miracle if I was able to pop out and create a few more. It's far too general to keep saying how much a person on benefits could get. It seems the figure quoted is for families. The system needs an overhaul. Listen to this. I think this is brilliant, this one. Dave in Lichfield, Ben. I've got ADHD and it absolutely defines me. I was offered medication, but I said, why? I'm successful at work, happy at home, and part of a brilliant community because of who I am. I wouldn't change it. I do suffer with anxiety, but work actually keeps me sane. It gives me purpose and structure. When I'm not working, like after recent surgery, that's when the anxiety creeps in. I was so happy to get back to work. That sort of encapsulates it to me, because what we've created is... And have you read this morning? You'll love this. Watch Ben Habib if you're watching on YouTube. Plans are for an online self-service benefit system. Cause an even bigger explosion in welfare claims. The digital self-serve system aims to get more people applying for PIP online rather than having to make a call or go and see someone.
Yeah. Well, it's a system that just wishes to reward that part of the electorate that votes Labour. They have become the dependency party. And the problem that all politicians will now have is that it will be unpopular to roll back these benefits, but they absolutely, definitely have to be rolled back. You can't have a welfare bill of 350 billion a year, an interest bill on your national debt over 100 billion a year, and only be spending half that on your defence in this world. We're spending £60 billion a year or thereabouts on our defence, and we've got an interest bill on our debt twice that, and a welfare bill which is basically, what is that, 7 times what we're spending on our defence. When a country lives outside its means and it spends so much on keeping itself in benefits, in luxury, as it were, at the expense of its security and defence, that country is facing its end. It's lost its compass. It doesn't understand what's required. Then the proportions that I've just described need to be completely the other way around for this country to have a long-term secure future.
What do you make, very quickly, I've loads to ask you, what do you make of the two-child cap benefit being lifted? Personally, I think that we should help working families if they want to have more than two, but unemployed, no.
It's completely wrong. There should be no benefits for having children, I'm afraid. And that may be an unpopular thing to say, but having children is a voluntary thing to do, largely. And if you have children, you must make sure you're able to make ends meet. And therefore, as you rightly say, Jeremy, it should be those who are in work who get rewarded for having children. We do need to procreate in this country. It's desperate.
But also think of it the other way. For the jams, as you and I have talked before, the just about managing, I want them to go to work. And if the way to help them to go to work is to give them something that helps them look after their kids, I'm fine with that. But I'm not fine when I hear... What have I heard today from Keir Starmer in The Guardian? We've abolished the two-child cap benefit. This is one of the proudest moments of this Labour government because it will lift nearly 500,000 kids out of poverty. Well,
it doesn't.
Sorry, it doesn't.
It doesn't do that.
It doesn't.
It doesn't do that. It probably gives it to parents who will spend it badly on themselves, not on the children. But they'll be encouraged to have more children. What we need is... we need a couple of things. We need to destigmatise parenting at home, number one. In the pursuit of pushing everyone into the workforce. We've basically stigmatized mothers who stay at home, have children.
Listen,
and look after them.
my wife brings up Oliver and Iris, right? And I'm telling you now, I've said it before, it is the hardest damn job in the world. I would challenge anybody to do it.
100%.
And I hate the fact that it's looked down its nose at, because I think it's probably something that this country could do more with, because I think it helps kids an enormous amount. I know she's lucky and other people aren't as lucky, but there's a lot to be said for it. Genuinely, there's a lot.
If you want to talk about the long-term security of this country, it isn't just the armed forces. It is procreating. It is families creating children who have a family unit, live in a community that identifies as a community, in a society that understands itself, in a nation state that has a shared culture, shared set of beliefs, history, language, and binds together for the benefit of the entire country. That family unit, destigmatizing having children and looking after them, is absolutely vital for the long-term security of this country. That's the first thing. And instead of rewarding those who don't have jobs and procreate, what they should be doing is reintroducing the marriage allowance. You'll remember this from the 1980s.
Yeah.
If you were married, you got a tax break. And we should go further. If you're married and you've got children, you get another tax break, and a second and a third one for the second and third children you have. And if one of the spouses stays at home to look after the children, and you therefore not calling on state care to indoctrinate your children, you're actually looking after your children and bringing them up yourself, you should, the working member of that family should get yet another tax break. We should do it all through the tax system. So we
Quick question for
behavior.
you. Quick question, and I agree actually almost with everything you say. Do you believe that the state pension over 12,500, which is the threshold, do you think that not state pension benefits should be taxed?
Well, this is a ridiculous position for the government to find itself in, where benefits are now so large, pensions are getting to the point, because taxation is so high, that they're taxing money that they're handing out in the first place. Apart from the administrative stupidity of that exercise, it just proves that our system is broken.
Yeah.
What we should be doing is making sure we have a vibrant economy, get rid of net zero, reindustrialize the United Kingdom, make ourselves prosperous, so we can afford to look after those who are elderly, who've given up their lives to this country, and for those who are genuinely deserving of the security blanket of the welfare state. But in the pursuit of the dependency culture, setting aside aspiration, the ability of people to improve their own lot through their own endeavors, what we've done is undermine the system. And we continue to layer on the same kinds of policies that brought us to our knees in the first place. We've got to reverse the way this country is governed, the 180-degree change in direction.
Mate, it's great to have you on. We appreciate it. Smart as carrots on bank holiday. Have you eaten any chocolate yet, Mr. Habib?
I had some yesterday.
Good.
None this morning.
Have some this afternoon. It's great to have you on, my friend. Thank you very much to Ben Habib, the leader of Advance UK. 9:15. Morning, Judith.
Hello, it's Judy from Altos, West Yorkshire. Benefits ballooning. This one's easy. Make them pay tax like everybody else does. If you work, you pay tax. So they've got the names and addresses now, how much they get in benefits. Just give it to taxman for them to knock tax off. It's easy, really. Gets in loads back then. Thank you.
Thank you. Loads of people opinionated about this benefits explosion today. You're waking up to the news that 3.5 billion quid is going to be taken from the alarm clock Brit taxpayer and given to those who don't work. They're lifting the child 2 cap benefit, and basically you're going to get £6 each, whilst we're all going to suffer with bills. Delighted to welcome on a bank holiday Monday. It just gets better and better. Thank you, Ben Habib. Good morning to the head of comms at Popular Conservatives, Annunciata. I can never get it. Annunciata Rees-Mogg. Hello. Can I just say Anne? It's easier. I always get it wrong. How are you?
Very well. How are you, Jeremy?
I'm all right. How's the chocolate intake going?
I'm not a huge chocolate eater, but the kids have certainly done well.
Good. There's a lot I want to ask you about, but just touching upon what Ben Habib was talking about there. Fairness has seemingly gone out the window. And I want to read you, Annunciata, I want to read you this, because I have received more texts this morning from people on benefits, genuine claimants going, you're right, Jez, because what happens is everybody jumps up, oh, you're talking about me, you're going to take my benefits away. We're talking about the sponges. Morning, Jez, I'm terminally ill, says Steve in Cambridge. I cannot walk more than 100 yards without using a chair. but I feel so guilty that I can't work. Every day I'm up at 5 a.m. and every day in my chair I go and help my local pensioners at the shops, .paper, .internet, etc. This is my way to not feel guilty for being on benefits. You see? And yet we're breeding a generation, or whatever you want to call it, where people just sign on as a career choice, which it was never meant to be, was it?
No, and it shouldn't be there as that. It shouldn't be a lifestyle choice. It should be a safety net for people who are in genuine need, for when things happen that are out of your control and you really need that helping hand. And there is no one in this country who would want to take that away. It is our duty as a nation to look after those in genuine need. But this has become far more widespread than that. No one genuinely believes that 1 in 10 of our workforce are so unwell that they can't work at all. We've seen it absolutely balloon. This is just an extra cost on a bill that is already unaffordable, but is also having very, very detrimental consequences, not only for our country, but for the people involved.
Yeah.
The poverty of aspiration, the effects on mental health, the effects on the children in question being brought up in these workless homes are all very bad for them in the medium to long term.
Do you know, Nunziata, I did a thing with the Sun a couple of years ago. We used to do a sort of across the country, a sort of workshops for getting jobs, and we always made a point of, you know, people like Costa would be there, or Timpson's would be. I don't know who it was, all sorts of people, and we used to be the thing to pride ourselves on once a day, and this was actually in London. Was to get a kid an interview and then to get a job. And he was in the Sun, you can check it out, can't remember his name. And smart as carrots in his suit, and got his job as a trainee, I think, at let's say, Costa or Starbucks or something like that. And when I interviewed him, and it was in the paper the following day, when he went home, having got a job at 17 and a half as a trainee, sort of signing on, his dad and his granddad almost said to him, "You've brought shame on this family. We've never worked. What the hell are you doing?" And genuinely, I remember it as if it was yesterday, thinking that as an ideology is so fundamentally wrong, but that has been created by a society that, yes, wants to help those that need help, but doesn't have the balls, I don't think, to say to those who are sponging, "You're not having it. You're not having it." I mean, I had somebody earlier on saying, "I've got ADHD. I don't want your benefits. I've gone and proved that I can live my life." We've just become dependent, and I think the government are to blame. I really do.
These mental health claims would actually be helped by work. That study after study shows that routine, a purpose in life, paid employment, having a place that you need to go every day, having colleagues, all help your mental health. And instead of that, we are indulging their illness and making it worse, whilst costing people who work their socks off. The just about managings are really struggling at the moment. That inflation is going up and up, partly because we're in so much debt, because we've had unaffordable policies for so long. And we've got to get control of public spending, but we also have to shrink the government that is too involved in all our lives and is removing responsibility from individuals for making sure that they are okay. And as soon as the government replaces it, it has to pay for it. And we're seeing that across the board, from teachers having to potty train 5-year-olds and teach them to brush their teeth. It's all part of the nanny state taking control, paying you to not look after yourself.
Completely agree. And once you do that, you're dependent on the nanny state. I couldn't agree more. A couple of other things very quickly, if I can. Junior doctors will go on strike tomorrow because they've made that work within the Easter confines. That'll be 10 days off. Even old Streeting's up in arms today, saying they're bringing misery. Well, he should have attached a few more conditions to the deal he signed with 3 weeks after he walked into that job, saying, "I've given them 28%, everything's fine." I go too far, and some people say, but I believe that we are getting to a point where the argument for treating junior doctors the way we treat the army and the police is gathering force. I think it should be made illegal. I think it's an absolute disgrace what they're doing. I really do.
Absolutely, and passes a huge burden to doctors who are not striking and to the nursing profession who have to fill in gaps. I love the fact that they have changed their name from junior doctors, where they're basically still training on the job. They are not fully qualified doctors, into being resident doctors.
Well, they're not bloody resident, are they? They're never in.
But I think we've got this system so upside down that, of course, we should pay doctors a decent wage. But why are we charging them an absolute fortune to go through medical degrees and then making them pay back and increasing their wages? Surely we should make it much easier to become a doctor. I don't mean that in terms of their educational attainment, but much more affordable.
You and I are cut from the same cloth. Do you know what I'd do? It's not even difficult. I wouldn't charge them to train them. I'd only do one thing. I'd make them sign a bloody contract for 10 years that said they're not going to private. They are giving back to the NHS what we've paid and invested in you.
Completely agree. I would do the same for the nurses. I don't think we should be charging nurses tuition fees. It seems ridiculous. We've got a shortage. We import both doctors and nurses. And in fact, we should be training our own. We need a long-term policy to make sure that we do have enough doctors and nurses and get out of this ridiculous situation where foreign doctors can undercut their wages, which is how we got here in the first place.
My God, she agreed. I'm totally with you. Final thing, if we can, in the Mail today. Straight Talker Kemi is now the most popular leader, says poll, on the back of over the weekend. First poll in 236 that didn't have Reform in the lead. Lord Ashcroft, the old Tory donor, saying that the Greens, Reform and the Tories all on 21%. Bit of criticism this morning from people saying it's a bit London-centric. Reform said they didn't believe it. What's your take on this, Annunziata? Is the Reform bubble bursting?
This is an outlier poll, so who knows? It is conducted slightly differently to most pollsters do it, but there has certainly been a trend by which Reform seems to have peaked. Quite where they'll end up, I don't know. They are without doubt very popular, and we are going to see in just a month's time what happens in the local elections and the elections in Scotland and Wales. I think that will be quite a turning point. But I think we do need, one thing that the public is crying out for is people who understand our economy and have a responsible attitude to it. Reform has flip-flopped on this two-child cap, for example. We need stability. We need to have a government that will shrink government spending, that will return money to people's pockets. And whether that's Reform or the Tories, I think they need to talk to each other, because both of them have great ideas. And otherwise, we will end up with some kind of Green, Lib Dem, Labour, SNP alliance where the country is truly sunk.
Do you think, bearing in mind that both parties, the Tories and Reform right now, say that's not even a given? Tories say Reform don't have any balance at all. Reform say they let us down, you can do one. I said this morning, 12 weeks out from a general election, the thought in 3 years of another 3 years of this, and Dave Polansky and his mad cohorts, and possibly Ed Davey, who'll flip anywhere to get some publicity. Do you, like I, believe a little bit that there would have to be a conversation for the sake of this country, probably?
We've seen Kemi Badenoch say that she's open to a coalition in Birmingham, where, of course, bin strikes have been the most clear example of quite how badly run Birmingham has been under the left. I think there won't be a deal until there's a deal. And as you say, when an election is absolutely imminent, I genuinely think and hope that both Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch are going to put the country first, not individual parties.
Can you imagine if they did a deal? Who would be? It would have to be Nigel Farage as the Prime Minister, wouldn't it?
I think that would be the most likely. We would have to see where the parties were at the time, but that would be for details for them to work out. The bigger picture is that we can't allow a left alliance with disastrous policies from defence to foreign affairs to energy to benefits across the board. Our country really would be sunk.
So good to have you. Really love having you on the show, especially on a bank holiday Monday. Annunciata, thank you so much indeed. Happy Easter and all that. Very good. Brilliant. Annunciata Rees-Mogg, head of comms at Popular Conservatism. Pretty impressive old guest this morning. What is it, 9:28? You look, Mark, you're looking tired today. I'm worried about you. Have you been drinking again? It's the man that pushes the button. Are you going to go home for a sleep? I think it's really unfair because you've got a colleague down the corridor and he works till 10. You have to work till 1. And he earns more money. Danny, good morning.
Hey, Chester, it's Danny from Bishop. You never read out my messages, so I'll send one anyway. Hope you're doing well. I'm hearing about all these pay rises for the weak, lame and lazy and everyone else that's going on. I work in the motor trade. I sell cars. You want to see some of the slackers and wasters that come in on mobility. Honestly, I can't even buy myself a new car. In fact, I'm standing on the middle of the road just now in the car that's broken down. Come on, Jess, let's get a grip.
Some breaking news this morning revealed that under the Terrorist Act, 242 people were arrested in the year to June of this year.
As something you can indulge in as to all the people who aren't going to prison because, well, there's no prison spaces.
This is a talk exclusive we've been looking at.
I said, you take these cuffs off me and speak to me like a human being rather than a common criminal.
You're just left wondering, do these people who lead us actually hate Britain?
Yeah.
Do they not love our country and everything that we've stood for?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Happy Bank Holiday Monday, you chocolate munching fiends. 0344 499 1000. Talk Breakfast is on. Home of Common Sense and the home of the alarm clock Brit. Paul in 5. Benefits culture. What role do GPs play in this? Handing out phony diagnosis to people with made-up mental health issue. Isn't that fraud? Interesting. Don in Stalybridge. Good morning, Jez. Some people might not like this, but, you know, he said, I'm 73 and I would like anyone to define what child poverty is, because when we were at school, we had rags and we were starving and some of us didn't have shoes. You know what? People might go, really? Yeah, that's true. Mike, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Now, I'm 72. I started work at 15, finished work at 68, paid my tax, paid millions probably over the years. Now I'm a pensioner, and I think it's about 13,000 a year, and the minimum living wage apparently is about 25. So I'm supposed to live on 13 grand, and the minimum living wage is 25. So how does that work? And when you consider all the criticism that pensioners get when we paid in, and I watch TV, talk every day, and I hear about people getting 30, 40 grand for doing nothing, and a car, and they're on holidays, and they have takeaway meals, and it is so unfair.
It is unfair. Listen to this, Alison. So many of you telling such totally honest stories. She said, I worked hard and paid a lot of tax until I became ill. I'm now in a wheelchair, Jez, housebound with incurable illness. Because I worked for years prior to losing my career and health, that has actually gone against me as I get the minimum amount in benefits, far less than you stated. If I'd sat on my arse for years and never worked, I'd now be getting lots more money. So why did I bother working? I'd happily swap places and be well again, because it's no fun, trust me. So people are going to start having lots of unwanted kids just to get more. The whole system needs to change, and I bet they will start with the genuinely sick and disabled. And that is the fear that people like Alison have, that the system will be too, just one-dimensional. It's what I was saying earlier about the two-cap benefit, right? If you're working, if you're in a family and your wife and you or your husband and you are working and you want to have more kids, then I think there should be a proviso that says, we'll help you with those kids. Maybe you put it towards care for the child, nursery care, because you're actually going to work and giving some. If you sat on your backside and you want to have 7 kids, it's completely and utterly different. Richard says, I'd make it illegal for someone on benefits to have a passport. Then the feckless couldn't have 2 holidays a year whilst I'm working. Jez, good morning. My stepdaughter receives benefits and gets more than I do, and I'm working 37.5 hours a week. She claims UC, PIP, and could claim more, but she can't be asked. What? She can also earn £400 per month working without her benefits being affected. That means she could be on well over £2 per month as a single 24-year-old. Meanwhile, I'm slogging my guts out every day, travelling to Manchester with osteoarthritis and claim nothing. So I'm beginning to wonder who the hell, says Deborah and Lee, is the idiot. Couldn't agree more. Did we done Mike? Have we done Mike? We've done Mike. Let's say a very good morning. You cannot do a show on Bank Holiday Monday without having the voice of politics, former political editor of The Sun. Full of chocolate, are you, Trevor Kavanagh, or not?
Absolutely. Up to here.
Up to there. Good man. Trev, it's interesting. You can always tell very quickly what's going to take. And this news today that alarm clock Brits will fund this $3.5 billion benefits payday for thousands of people on benefits. Whenever you have the debate, people will jump up and down and go, but no, we're not talking about the genuine. And many texts have said, I'm genuine, but I still feel bad about it. But they know people who are taking advantage. The fairness has gone out the argument. We're skint now, Trev. Income tax revenue this year, $331 billion. So far, welfare spending, $333 billion. It's not sustainable, is it, man?
Absolutely not. I mean, the fact is, Jeremy, that today is the day that the Labour Party, which was founded to support hardworking people, the workers, became the benefits party, the welfare party, looking after the feckless and the idle. And, you simply cannot carry on paying £330 billion a year in benefits to people, many of whom don't deserve them, but who will be clambering on board now that it's so profitable, when we're not spending enough on the key things that we really need, not least being defence, as Ben Habib said earlier. We're spending less than half on defence at a time when possibly our country is at more risk of war than at any time since the last World War.
I don't know if you've heard this as well in the Mail. I'm sure you have. It goes further. there are claims. Plans for an online self-service benefit claiming system is set to cause an explosion in welfare claims, a Whitehall source told the Mail. The digital self-serve system, Trevor, aims to get more people applying for PIP online rather than having to make a call or go and see the person in person. So now
Absolutely.
we're going to have people online being able to say, I've got ADHD or my toenails hurting and I'm psychologically affected, and I'm not being disrespectful to the genuine. It's just infuriating for alarm clock Brits that listen to this show and pay their tax. It's infuriating for them.
And you're probably too young, Jeremy, but I can remember a time when the welfare state was getting into its stride after the last war, and people were embarrassed and even reluctant. I know my mother particularly was very reluctant to claim any benefits whatsoever. It was seen as embarrassing or even shameful to be relying on the state if you could possibly earn a crust and keep a roof over your head by yourself. All of that is gone. It's now so easy that people take it as a right. They do not take it as a privilege. They assume that they are entitled to live off the state, in many cases, completely. Whole households are not working. And indeed, not only are they not working, but as from today, they will start breeding because it's worth the money. I mean, now a family of four are getting an extra £7,000 a year. I mean, that's almost offering a pay rise for having children.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. I do think with the two child cap benefit, I do see the reason that we should support the jams, the people who both work and maybe want a third kid. I think that's absolutely right, because they will go to work and provide service and pay tax and all of that, and they're putting something back in. But as for saying to... I mean, did you see Starmer's comment today? This is one of the proudest moments of this Labour government, having abolished the two-child benefit cap, because it will lift nearly 500,000 children out of poverty. The reason they're in poverty is because their parents didn't work and thought, quite rightly, unfortunately, under this government and past ones, we'll pay for you to shell out another kid. No, there has to be some responsibility, hasn't there?
Well, this is the Keir Starmer who was Prime Minister only a few months ago, was planning to hold the two-child cap in place until he faced a rebellion by his own party. So, I mean, there's no consistency there. This is not a triumph for Keir Starmer; it's a defeat.
Have you seen the new? Have you seen the new Saturday Night Live that's come from America to England, Trevor?
I haven't. No. Well, I haven't.
I'm going to show you a 1-minute sketch. This man's impersonating Keir Starmer, and it's utterly brilliant. And in a sea of mediocrity and misery, it's worth a look. This is Saturday Night Live UK, and this is an impression of our Prime Minister. Enjoy.
Happy Easter. And in the strongest possible terms. Hello. Now, I know some of you were disappointed by my speech on Wednesday, while others of you did not watch it. For those who missed it, here's a summary. You didn't miss much. And honestly, I'm kicking myself. I let you down, but everyone deserves a second chance. Peter Mandelson's had 4 or 5, with many more to come.
How good's that, Trev?
Uncanny.
It's very good. The other main news story today, really want your take on this. The junior doctors will start tomorrow their strike, nicely put in the middle of Easter, so they'll get 10 days off. The BMA has just rejected the government's offer of 7.1%. That was on the back of 28 a year ago. I actually hold Streeting quite responsible. He put no conditions on that original deal. This proposed deal would have taken their total pay rise over the past 3 years to 35%. We know what the BMA is, Trev. Is there not an argument that's starting to say that we should treat junior doctors like we do the police and army and make it illegal for them to strike at this rate?
Long overdue, Jeremy. I mean, it should never have been possible for doctors, junior or otherwise, to simply walk out and leave patients at the mercy of those who are prepared to stay on and keep working. This is unbelievable. I mean, again, you know, a few years ago, nobody could have imagined such a thing happening. And now it's happening every few weeks, and indeed it's being extended. They're looking forward to a 2-week holiday and boasting about it over the Easter period at the expense of the patients who are already in a miserable state, having to queue for appointments, queue in hospitals on stretchers in the corridors, and queuing is now the form of rationing that we have come to expect in a service which is completely collapsed.
Just finally, having covered politics for so long, I know you'll have an opinion on this. This Ed Miliband net zero madness, we've talked about it repeatedly. I've got to play his clip because I've never seen this till this morning. I actually believe the man is on the edge. This is his justification for net zero that costs billions and achieves nothing. Have a listen, have a watch, my friends.
Countries around the world emulated us. We've got this mission, clean power by 2030. If we achieve that, and I'm absolutely determined we do, other countries will say, look what Britain's been able to do. We can do that too. So let's not have a diminished view of Britain. We really matter in this. So many countries come to me and say, you've got a really important responsibility here.
Trev, if you were walking down the high street at the weekend with Mrs. Kavanagh and you saw him on a soapbox, you'd cross the road, wouldn't you?
Well, I was beginning to wonder as I was watching that, Jeremy, whether it was actually Mad Ed Miliband or Saturday Night Live. I mean, you couldn't lampoon something more than that, could you?
No.
I mean, he looks like exactly the sort of person pictured eating that bacon sandwich. He's an idiot. I don't know how on earth he ever got to the position of being the most popular person in the Labour Party, but it certainly says a lot about the Labour Party. Very dangerous. And the reason I wanted to bring Ed Miliband up, he's been absolutely vehement in his decision to say we're not drilling, but reports today at the weekend Rachel Reeves said we need to be doing it. There is apparently a growing rebellion on the backbench. Who'd have thought there was a rebellion to say we're billions in debt and by the way we've got it. We can pay it all off if you just open your mind and drill down a little bit. It'll be really interesting to see this power struggle because he's always said no way, and you are right with the Labour members. If Starmer goes in May, he'll be the next Prime Minister of this country, for God's sake. Well, yes. I mean, look, even the Labour Party, bonkers though it is not prepared to put up with the suicidal policies of Ed Miliband. And that's what they are. I mean, we are now effectively in a form of warfare in which our oil suppliers are being throttled by Iran in the Straits of Hormuz. And we have all this oil sitting under our ocean floor, which is being milked by other countries, Norway in particular. And we can't touch it because of Ed Miliband. And it makes no difference whatsoever what we do in terms of pollution to the rest of the world. But we could have perfectly clean energy coming from all of that oil and gas, which is trapped by Ed Miliband. That cannot hold.
Couldn't agree more. Listen, mate, it's great to speak to you on a bank holiday Monday. I hope you have a pleasant rest of the day with more chocolate, and we'll get to speak to you very soon. The brilliant Trevor Kavanagh. Thank you so much indeed, my friend, former political editor of The Sun. It's 10:15. It's Alex Phillips in this morning from 10 o'clock. Who's on at 1? Who? Mark Doland. No, Dolan. He's on from 1. Who's on at 4? Kevin. She line up back in 3.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Easy Drive. I knew it was on Drive. Kev from 4, and he'll sound great. 0344 419 1000. Text to 87222. Before the end of the show, that breaking news that Iran and the US have allegedly received a two-tier plan to end the war between the two countries. That is according to Reuters. Isabel Oakeshott touched upon this. She said it's based from Pakistan. She said that in an interview earlier. Let's get the former Israeli government spokesman, Elon Levy. It's lovely to have you back, Elon. How are you, my friend?
Hello, good morning. After 4 missile sirens in the middle of the night, managed to catch up on a little bit of sleep.
Bless your heart. Iran and the US have allegedly received a two-tier plan to end the war between the two countries. This apparently is based in Pakistan. Don't know if it's true or not. What's your response to this, my friend?
Well, we don't know what the Pakistani proposal is, but so far the Iranians have shown absolutely no desire to budge on the core issues. And that's not only the Iranian nuclear program, it is its ballistic missiles that it's been using to attack civilians across the region, its support for terrorist proxy armies that have sown instability throughout the region, and a commitment to open the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, the Iranians are doing the opposite. They're making increasingly delusional demands as if they get to open their own toll booth in the Strait of Hormuz and start taxing ships going through. So we saw President Trump with that really extraordinary tweet. It's not every day you have a tweet from the President of the United States that you can't read on breakfast TV, testing the madman theory of international politics. He wants the Iranians to believe that he's completely off his rocker so that they will climb down and accept an end of the war that ends the Iranian regime as a regional aggressor. But that's the bread and butter and the identity of the Iranian regime. And so far, it doesn't look like they want to budge.
But the fact that they haven't budged with respect, and I have to do this job in the correct way, after 4.5 weeks of bombing by the US and by Israel, okay, and I'm totally with you, the mad mullahs and proxy terrorist groups, I'm with you completely. But the fact that they haven't budged and can still be saying, we control the Straits of Hormuz, we're still, I mean, whether it's Russia's support or not, means that the last 4.5 or 5 weeks, unless I'm missing the point, hasn't really gone to plan, has it?
Well, the Iranians are certainly thumping their chests, but they have a lot less to thump their chests with. The fact is, the Iranian regime's ability to export aggression throughout the region has been massively degraded by those American and Israeli airstrikes. Israeli pilots are bombing not only the ballistic missile launchers that are attacking the whole Gulf, but the ballistic missile silos and the ballistic missile factories, and even the petrochemical and steel plants needed to support those industries. So when this war ends, which it will one day, the Iranian regime is going to be a shadow of its former self, and not just that. It will have united all of its neighbors against it. You've got the UAE now saying that it's ready to join a maritime force to open the Straits of Hormuz, a country that previously tried to have it both ways and placate the Iranians, is now calling on the world to help assemble a military force to contain the Iranian regime. And that is definitely a strategic backfire for the Iranian regime that just does not have the firepower it did a month ago because Israel and the United States are bombing it from the skies.
No, I get that. And you've said that, and just very yes or no, you think Trump and Israel ultimately will win this war, yes?
The Iranian regime has already lost it.
But if you read, this is what I'm trying to say to you is, I mean, certainly in America, maybe a bit in the UK, because listen, we're fence sitters now, aren't we? America, Donald Trump's approval rating started to shoot towards the floor. When he talked the word ceasefire, it went up about 5 points in 5 minutes. I'm sure he doesn't care about that, although he's got the midterms coming. But you do sort of look at Trump, and I'd love your take on this, Elon, respect you enormously. He's looking for a way out now, isn't he?
President Trump wants a way out to end the war, but he's not looking for a way out immediately. He knows America has the upper hand. Okay. The Iranian regime has no navy. It's at the bottom of the sea. It has no air force. Its ballistic missile array has been massively degraded. Its proxy armies are isolated from it. The Iranian regime has militarily been crushed. It's still a threat. It's still attacking civilians throughout the region. It's still taking potshots at the Strait of Hormuz. This is not over. But the Iranian regime is no longer the monster that it was just a month ago. And when this ends, it will be much less able to sow terror and aggression throughout the region. The question is getting the Iranian regime to a point where it accepts that defeat. And that's why President Trump seems to be saying this is going to take a few more weeks.
So it would seem, in your experience as a former Israeli government spokesman, that there'll also be a lot of propaganda around this. I mean, the Truth Social post, you know me, I am going to read it. You said I can't. He basically said on Truth Social, Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day all wrapped up into one. Open them straight, you crazy, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. The fact of the matter is, I thought an old general from the British Army, Sir Simon Mayle, summed it up perfectly this morning, and I do mean this. I've been critical at certain things that Trump comes up with, but what Simon Mayle said is, never underestimate that in the moments where he throws stuff out and everybody goes, oh my God, there is brilliance in there as well, and it usually is followed by something that makes everybody sit up. So, of course, we want a ceasefire, and most of all, I said this in total support when it all happened. All those people that are going, no, 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 this isn't fair and wrong. Go and talk to the parents of the Manchester bomb victims whose lives were ended by ISIS, by all these organisations funded by these mad mullahs. I get it. I guess, like many people in the world, I'm thinking, is there an end game? When's that going to happen? But what you're saying is it's progressing, Elon, right?
Every day that goes by, the Iranian regime is getting weaker and weaker because its military assets are being bombed from the skies. The fact that the United States only lost one plane, and that really an incredible operation to rescue the pilot, just shows the level of air superiority that Israel and the United States have been able to establish over the skies of Iran. So look, this is difficult. We're all feeling the pain in our pockets because the way the Iranian regime has declared war on the entire global economy. Frankly, it's upsetting to see countries trying to hide behind other countries to fix that problem for them. Let's not get into that right now. But the fact is, not only was this war unavoidable because the Iranian regime was on the cusp of making itself untouchable and breaking out towards nuclear weapons, the worst thing that could happen right now is for the US to quit while it is ahead and leave the Iranians free to rebuild that military with dreams of revenge when it is at the weakest point it has ever been. And its ability to project power, not just throughout the Middle East, but around the whole world, has been severely degraded.
Mate, listen, it's absolutely wonderful to have you on. I really, really do appreciate it. It's always great to get your take on it. Elon Levy, former Israeli government spokesman. Enjoy the rest of Monday. Thank you so much indeed. And thank you, by the way, first of all, thank you to the team. I mean, no sign of Damien, G-Spot. I mean, it's bank holiday, but Christian here, Tommy here, Big M here, Nahar here. Where's Christian? No, not Chris. What was he called? Where's Damien? Sorry, I thought I was Kinsey Schofield for a moment. I got confused. Max, I'm 70 and have had to take a part-time job after retirement to heat my home. Heating oil costs nearly 700 quid this week. 3 months ago, it was 320. Max in Edinburgh. Good morning to JP in Bishop Stortford. Is there a hotline for reporting the work share or tax fiddlers? If not, is there an appetite for this? I think there might well be. Yes, there is. We're going to say. Oh, no, I'm not doing that. Can someone please explain why benefits is not set at a minimum wage minus 10% maximum, then pay all the bills like normal workers, tax, council tax, etc. Ali in Cambridge, thank you. Deborah, we pensioners, the lowest paid in Europe, £214 per week. Can you live on that? Probably not. Hello to Bex. Good morning, Jeremy. Margaret, currently in Tunisia. Yeah, good. Enjoy the sunshine. Right, listen, almost time for us to go. Alex Phillips here from 10 a.m. You lucky people. Mark Dolan in for Ian Collins because he's having a rest. And Kevin O'Sullivan proving that at least two of us who do it regularly are here on a bank holiday Monday. We're back tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock at your place. Thank you to the team. And just to repeat that breaking news, Iran and the US in the last 2 hours have received a two-tier plan to end the war between the two countries. It emanates from Pakistan. We'll keep an eye on that as we head towards the end of this show. And just to finish with Ermin, hello from Singapore. Happy Easter. It's 32 degrees. I hope it rains. Have a lovely day. Don't eat too much chocolate. I'm going home because I live there. See you tomorrow.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.